well.
My experience also the same. It's not only about the review, but when I did myself with my instructor.
There are a lot of tailored sessions and labs are available.
So it's really helpful for me. I think it's the online course, the modules. It really helps me, because you can choose your own time. It's self-paced. So
secondly, even the instructors or the trainers they are able to specifically tell
that okay, this is what you are going to get. Exactly what I was looking for.
Not only in the sessions. I think the K21 turning around time was very quick.
Okay, so this is actually a wonderful course. They are covering end to end, conceptual wise very strong and very detailed as well. So I thoroughly enjoyed this course.
I really like the way of his sessions, and he really inspired me with his energy that nothing.
Pursuing the other certifications in the course. I would highly recommend this course for anyone pursuing a career in the cloud, anyone who doesn't know where to start. This would be a good starting point in your career.
And that's all. I have gone through UDMI classes, I have gone through other institutes, and honestly nobody supports that. Not even single one. I have gone Simply Learn also. A lot of money Simply Learn. Too long, none of them.
So yeah, that's kind of I would say go.
4 months course. It's okay. I understand that it's a 4 months course, but still, you give people an opportunity to have a self-pace in case if they want to connect back, they want to clear things out. I really appreciate the way you guys have arranged this.
With K21 Academy, I learn a lot. The first one is based on the communication. The teachers are reliable.
My main aim was to belong to a community like K21 because they also encourage their workers to belong to communities for development, right? If you want to write certifications, you want to continue with studies in regards to your job, they encourage that as well.
So K21 Academy, the training sessions and the videos are very well organized, very professionally done. And if you don't even have a technical background, I don't think it will be a matter. Anybody can join this training course, and all the trainers are very helpful.
The leverage you have is the WhatsApp groups, the 24/7 staff support, ticketing systems, materials, the expertise of the trainers. It's not just they're qualified in one subject area. I mean, most of the trainers, they have multiple certifications.
But as K21 gives the opportunity to stay connected for a year, I believe that's an edge which K21 has. And I have recommended so many people about this course. And I have given them this confidence that it's not like that they will make you learn and they will make you forget, even though they do help in terms of your further journey apart from studies.
Then we have a great support service. Not only that, we have access of a lot of labs and infrastructure that can help you to understand the learning based on your choices.
Trainers are excellent. There are plenty of students. I see that all over the world are participating every Saturday and Sunday. For professional like us, it's very helpful. Materials are great. Hands-on labs are wonderful. I would highly recommend K21.
Since I joined the academy, honestly, I just feel like when I was going for the interview, immediately I sent anything to. If I ask any question, I get a response. So I felt so confident.
Right, and they are quite experienced in what they do, and they can help you clear the exam with their experience. Obviously, they've been doing this for years. The Q&As that you get with the trainers, because some things are quite standard.
They can help you to really learn, and certification is just a side effect. It's not the main thing, but the focus should be hands-on lab and really actual job-oriented projects that they will help you to do.
Yes, learning at K21 helped me a lot. I noticed with K21, the learning is cheaper.
That means if I get a job, and when I write to the support team, they always respond as well. Like they did a project for me from end to end, and it was so wonderful.
So you can actually come into K21 with no IT experience, right? All you have to know is how to use a keyboard and mouse.
Plus also that I have not taken advantage of it, but I probably will in the future, like your interview prep, mock interviews, resume prep, your LinkedIn prep. So anybody is even trying to get into the technology field, I think K21 Academy is there to help them. And it's a great way to learn something.
Axel will not lie. He will not ask you to lie on your resume. And the program is also well designed and very robust.
When I got to know about K21 Academy, that it is an interactive session.
So for someone who is not knowledgeable at all, the boot camps and the exposure in 2021 gives a clear roadmap of how people can follow from a zero state to a very mature state. So,
always, there is an opportunity for us to ask the questions then and there whenever we have something to exchange thoughts. And definitely, it's all group of people with all the different levels of experience.
With how K21 Academy also structured the training, where you can listen to the live section, you can as well go back and can do a self-study, and with the labs that are available, so it really helped. So.
And from the very first day I signed up to K1 Academy from the class, I realized that they had a coach, they have expatriate, they have team, and they have an advisor that can actually ask you, what exactly are you doing? So we can help you so that you can get exactly what you're looking for when it comes to career paths.
And one other good thing is the instructors, they are very knowledgeable. They are teaching you based on the job requirement, not just to pass certification.
With that roadmap, people can now begin to understand, this is what I need to do at this point, this is what I need to do at this point. And if you follow the roadmap consistently, you will literally become an expert. So it's like the roadmap is a magic stick for K21.
One thing I like about the K2 Academy first are the level of experienced instructors you guys have. The minimum I've seen and I've heard, I think seeing is probably 7 or 10 years.
So I took the pre-recorded class from last September, and it's just amazing. I mean, I just love it. I love it.
So whoever is enthusiastic to learn and grow, definitely if they ask me, I will certainly recommend them.
Look no further. K1 Academy have every resources that you need or you have to excel, to transform you to career when it comes to the field IT.
Leveraging on the expertise of K21, because I believe that some of the trainers and experts have better understanding of what this market is all about, how to structure your CV, how to engage, how to focus on what is necessary.
Hey guys, hi everyone. Can you hear me loud and clear? Just confirm that you can hear me loud and clear. Brilliant. If you can just someone hold. We don't start the recording yet, guys. If you have not started, don't start the recording yet. Can you hear me? Someone confirm the chat window. Able to hear. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Who's from my team? One second, Sumti. Just give me a few minutes. Let me share my screen. Sumti, if we can start a recording, that will be helpful. Let me share my screen.
This meeting is being recorded.
Brilliant. Let me share my screen. Hi, everyone. So this is Atul from team K21 Academy. Today we are on day 2. Let me first explain you. Today we are on day 2 of a 3 days boot camp. We're going to talk everything about Microsoft Azure Cloud. But I want you to introduce and tell me where are you guys checking in. Put me and let me know which country you are while I'm trying to share my screen and let you know about where to find the day 1. And if you're watching that or going to watch that as a replay, just let me know so you can go through that as well. Okay, okay, brilliant. And one key takeaway, did you attend day 1? So let me first share everyone. Where is everyone from? Ethiopia. Wow. Ethiopia, USA, Pakistan. Delaware, USA. Krishna is from, Jason is from, Melina, UAE, Abu Dhabi. Brilliant, Abhishek. Guys, I'm based in UK. Just let me know, and we are going to have this session interactive. Lovina from London. Which part of London, Lovina? USA. Sukanta is USA. Guys, we want to have an engaging session. The way we did it on day 1. I want you to be engaged and discuss in this. Let me see who many are. Achla, Amna, Amol, Apurv, Avinash, Bhavita, Chanakya, Edwin, Prue, John, Kiran, Monisha, Malin, Anand Kumar. Okay, now we're ramping up. Samuel, Som, Syed, Wale, Yasser, Simo, Jishan. Okay, Jishan, I've already mentioned. Mumbai, South London. Okay, brilliant. Okay, Ethiopia, another one. Okay, brilliant, guys. So first, let me show it to you where to find everything on what we have done. So if you go to k21academy.com/free community, this is where we have all. If you go under free community, if you've not registered, go and register here. Let me make my, okay, good. Yeah, register here and then go to the classroom. This is where the good, and in that you see 4 days boot camp. The reason I'm saying 4 days, we already had day 0, which I think 12th or 13th of December, 12th of December. So day 0, this is where I covered everything about why you should be doing, what are all the backgrounds and everything. And day before yesterday, we had day 1 all about AWS Cloud. And winner was, we are picking one winner every session for making sure you stay engaged and you ask questions, and based on the quality of questions we'll be asking, you're asking winner. Subbu, if you are here, or maybe my team will reach out to you for your gift, you can pick up any certification, one-on-one call, and a lot of other things are there. They will reach out to you. Also, there is a summary of what to expect on this timeline on day 1. And if you have any questions, Sumti from my team has asked all the, be good to add some more documentation here as well. So that's number 1. With that, let's begin with officially here. And yeah, so guys, as I said, we are going to be, I'm expecting you to stay engaged and ask tons and tons of questions that will help me to understand these things better. And and the more interactive and more attention you have, the better you will learn here. I have my team. We're going to have roughly around anything between 90 minutes to 2 hours. I'm going to try to, if I go fast, stop me, let me know. And if I'm going slow, tell me about that as well. And something, if you can interrupt me if I'm going fast or slow, and based on the feedback, I'm not looking all the questions. I'm going to ask the questions at each logical point, but stay attentive on this class as well. So today, as I said, a day 2 of a 3 days Microsoft Azure Cloud, which is going to talk about based on architect, administrator, developer, security, DevOps, data, whether it's data architect, data engineer, data analyst, or AI. And I want you to tell me on if you attended day 1 or not. Will explain you as well. So I'm going to pick up some questions based on that as well. So which one you are? Is it architect? Is it administrator? Is it developer, security, DevOps, AI, machine learning? What interests you? Because I'm going to cover, I have a lot of content there. I'm going to, based on that, I'm going to go deeper. So what role you're looking for? Or is it a combination of everything, or maybe project manager, program manager as well? So put in the chat window, because I'm going to, these chat and messages inspire me as well. So John is saying architect, brilliant. Hamed is saying architect and administrator. Brilliant. So I can go focus on DevOps. Sukanta. So last time we had architect with AI. Krishna, good. I'm going to focus on that administrator, AI. Okay, so the flow is going to be, I'll be first beginning with the basic concepts. We'll cover one of the job, and then later I'm going to do solution architect, administrator. Brilliant. Wonderful. So I think this is a lot of architect, AI, machine learning, administrator, those kind of things. Architect, security, Sumo. Brilliant. Okay, so at that point, ask me more questions when we come to that particular point when we're doing it. So this is what we're going to cover. We are going to cover all these different certifications as well, right from fundamentals to Microsoft Azure administrator, developer, security. I'll focus more on administrator, architect, and a little bit or more on AI. These are the three things which are saying, and DevOps as well. So there'll be DevOps data part as well that's coming. This is the entire 3 days boot camp. We had one on Saturday, which is first day, which is I've just explained you before this call or at the start that how you can get hold of day one. Today we are day 2. And on 27th of December, which is I think Thursday or Friday, we're going to have, which is on all about DevOps, MLOps, machine learning operations as well. So as I said, under classroom, under this you see 4 days bootcamp, you'll be seeing day 1 here. Day 2 will also be published here in next 24 hours as well. A lot of you guys already introduced. If not, let me know because it inspires me where my audience is coming. A lot of you guys from US, UK, India, Ethiopia, any from Middle East, anyone from Singapore or Australia. I don't think Australia might be very late for you. So let me know if you've not introduced. Go and tell me where are you from. I'm based in London. It's going to be getting a little bit cloudy. It's going to be a little bit dark here, starting to get it dark. But I'm in a full holiday mood now from tomorrow onwards. I'll get a couple of days off and then we'll come back on 27th all about DevOps as well. So first of all, I want to begin with a lot of inspiration because I think I lagged on day 1 and a lot of guys were asking that, hey, will I be able to get a job? Or in the emails, a lot of you guys mentioned about. So let me begin with, first of all, to some inspiration that if you're looking, and this is all possible, and this is the framework which I'm going to talk, and I told on day 1, day 0, day 1, day 2, and I'm going to talk about day 3 as well and bring more and more success stories as well. So Nazif, I think he's a fresher, which is being told by based in the US, and saying that I joined, received my job offer in September. He joined in June and in September. So within 3 months, Nazif Hanan got a job. SJ, I mentioned on day 1. I keep reiterating because not only she doubled her salary, but her husband also got a job in cloud, multi-cloud in US. Then we have Simran got a secured as a job as a data analyst, data architect. So what they're doing different and they're getting these jobs very quickly. I'm going to talk about what you need to follow in order to achieve that I'm mentioning here. Another one, Foyong received a job or received Azure job after a month, within a month itself as well. And all of these guys have followed the 3-step framework I gave you a glimpse of on day 1. We're going to go in a little bit deeper into that, how you can achieve, but I'm going to talk about that towards end so that you literally copy paste it and implement so that you make 2025 your best year ever that you want. I've used the same method to go from earning $100 a month back in 2000, 2001, 3, 4 for the first 4 years to moving here in UK back in 2004, 2005 and transition into looking at a colleague of mine who was working £550 a day. So I realized, if he can do it, I can do. Mine was a little bit struggled for 10 months to achieve my first job as a contractor, £425 a day. But once I got it, there's no looking back. Of course, there were ups and downs, which I'll talk a little bit later. But then I upgraded myself from 425 to 500 to 600 to 700, 900, 1200, in excess of now £1,000 a day, working with multiple clients. And that's all I'm sharing in these 3 days so that you can achieve as well. These are the contracting slips. I usually get 1 year, anything from 3 months to 1 year long contracts. That's how the tendency contracting works. But I love and enjoy this way of working as well. Now, these are some of the clients which I mentioned earlier to give you the confidence all across globe. Majority of them are in UK or Europe, like in WorldPay here in UK, Royal Bank of Scotland, Scottish Government, Atradius in Netherlands, Datawell in US, ICC in Switzerland, Toyota in Brussels, all Imperial College here in London. But then as far as Bank of Somalia, Saudi Railways and HP in US and so on. So these are some of the clients in last close to 2.5 decades of my experience in IT as well. Now, as I said on day 1, I made some mistakes. So first mistake I made was that first mistake here. It took me 10 months to go from on which I could have done a bit early, and I'll tell you maybe towards end if time permits. Otherwise, I'll cover on day 3. I spent 10 months just learning and spending with a lot of hassles, and that's the mistake which I did. I don't want anyone to go through that mistake, which I'll talk about that here. Second thing was I became arrogant. I'll be open and transparent. I thought I'm working very good, and I was, in my definition of that time, I was drawing very good contracting rate. I think 500, 600 pounds a day, 500, 600 pounds a day, around that. And I did that from 2006 till 2011, 12. And when I realized it came out of the mark, when I was looking then, I realized everyone was moving towards cloud and DevOps. So if you have not started your journey into cloud and DevOps, make sure you do those cloud DevOps and nowadays AI. So then I made a mistake here, struggled on this time at that point, but then I didn't make that mistake in 2019 again when I had to learn multi-cloud. I did jumped on that opportunity, and now I'm doing AI machine learning as well. So I want you to take away that whatever you do, make sure you keep learning and keep growing, and that's very, very important. Very, very important. Don't make the mistakes or learn from someone else's mistake as well. So please keep learning and keep doing what is future. Things are changing very fast. As they say, it's not the AI that will replace you. It's someone with the knowledge of AI. So make sure you learn AI, and AI is dependent on data. So you learn data, and both AI and data needs underlying infrastructure, cloud. That's what we're learning here. That's why this whole, and then on day-to-day operations, you have DevOps, MLOps. If I go fast, let me know, please, so that I stay attentive and I don't go very fast on these things as well. Am I making sense? Let me know as well. So this is, and what it has done to me is that it has helped me to achieve it always dreamt of, desired of, so that I have flexibility on 4 Ws, where to work from, when to work, on what timings, what to work on, and who to work with. And I'm feel privileged and lucky to say that, okay, I've achieved all those 4 Ws. And I want you to be having that flexibility. You may not want to do it, but you have that flexibility to achieve that as well. That's what I dreamt of. And I think 2018, 19 onwards, I started achieving that. It took me some time. And you can achieve that as well. And that's what has helped me to achieve is having multiple holidays. I nowadays take at least a couple of days off every month, in spite of working pretty good and having handsome salary or rate, the day rate I do is then every quarter I take good minimum 1 week, and every year we take at least 1 month long break, continuous break as well. And that has given me the fun part to travel across globe with my family, my daughter, and spend more time with my kids as well. And that's what is kind of a dream come. That's the whole objective of how you can achieve and make 2025 that your best year as well. And all this I've achieved, developed over a period of time using this simple 3-step framework. It's simple and easy, but then of course simple, but of course you have to follow that as well, which I'm going to talk about this 3-step framework towards. And I gave a glimpse on day 1. We're going to go deeper today here as well. Now this exact same steps, I did it for myself. Then in 2012, I started an implementation company. We were going and implementing Oracle at the time. I was doing Oracle and then Oracle Cloud, and then we implemented different clouds. So I built a team for myself. Now we have a 70+ team members. I did it for, and at the time implementation had a much bigger team, and used the same exact steps to build my team. And then I was not enjoying it. By 2017, 18, the team grew bigger and bigger. I'm not enjoying, so pivoted, and then we moved into this training and coaching business. We do now still have a lot of consulting client. So then I started teaching and so used the same method which I'm going to share today by not hundreds but thousands of guys. You will see that success story as well. So the method which I'm going to share here, proven almost every job across the globe as well. Be it, you might say, oh, I'm not from an IT background like Tolu. So Tolu who came was not from IT background. So if you say, I'm not from IT background, can I get a job? Absolutely. You have to follow the process, which I'll explain you how you can do, very simple and easy to do, not from IT background. Or you might say, hey, but I might have a career gap. Anyone who's with a career gap or with not from IT background, leave me. And if you want to connect, let's connect towards the end so I can share and some tips on what these guys did so you can do. So if you have a career gap like Meghna, and going from, I think she was away for 6 or 7 years because of her son's birth. And then she came back working from career gap, confused, not too sure what to do, to work with British Telecom. And now, in my view, I think it's one of the toughest certification, which is Kubernetes certification. Did that, and then now doing a lot of DevOps, and then now or cloud and so on as well. Or you might be someone say, I don't have any coding background. One thing people will tell you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. I was being told a lot of times, and my first 4 years were because everyone was telling me that, hey, because I had no computer degree, I was from a mechanical engineering background, and I had no coding until date. I don't have a coding. So a lot of guys told me, hey, if you are not from coding background, programming background, you can't grow in IT. And that was the limiting belief I was carrying myself. So if you don't have a coding background, and if someone tells you that, hey, you can't get a job, wrong. There are administration jobs, there are architect jobs, there is a data administration jobs. There are a lot of jobs which I'll show it to you. Irina is one example of not from coding or no background as well. Or it's not just someone who's new, but also someone who's already working 30, 40, maybe your whatever age group you are, you may be 35, 40, 45, Shovik, 20 years working in, he received offer in Bank of America, or Kennedy I mentioned about on a senior leadership role, or as I said, not 1, 2, 3, but thousands and thousands of individuals like you. So that many till 2023 December, 44,000 as well. So just follow the process, just follow someone who has done it before you. That's what they say. I've done myself, and I'm going to share those as well. So with that, let's look at what we're going to learn today here. So I'll begin with Azure basics. We'll give you the whole path. I'm going to this first part of this is going to be more on an infrastructure side, more on an architect, a developer, DevOps, administrator, security. And then we'll shift our gate towards part 2, which is data part, which is data architect, data analyst, data engineers, and so on. And part 3 is going to be all about AI, machine learning within these boundaries, within Azure boundary itself as well. So we'll look at all of them. We'll also look at the certifications from a Azure infrastructure that you see on the left-hand side, or data side, which you saw in the middle, or AI and machine learning, AI and machine learning on the right-hand side that you see. We'll talk about that as well. I'll also tell you what are 100+ hands-on labs. You don't feel overwhelmed. You don't need to do all of them. You just need to do maybe 5, 6, enough for you. And I'll tell you now, the minute I say, oh, you don't need to do all of them, or just handful of them is good enough to start getting interview calls, or you basically start appearing for the interviews, which we'll talk about as well. Some of the things which I'm going to talk you is a counterintuitive. You might think, oh, it's not going to work, but have trust and belief. It worked for me. I said thousands of guys are using and leveraging this, and you can as well. Just believe, be open for coachability point of view. I can assure you as well, and I'll show you with examples as well. Now, everything which I'm going to show or tell here is coming from with proofs, so that you don't just say, I don't say, but just for the sake of saying it, I first do it myself, then I do it with a handful of guys, and then we'll open it for everyone. So that's what I'm going to talk about. We have tons and tons of projects, which I'll talk about later. But again, you don't need to do all of them. Keep them handy, so that when you're applying for that kind of a job that you need, then you can appear, then you perform those jobs as well that I'm talking about. Am I going fast, or am I going okay? Is it okay if I'm going fast? Just let me know, put in the chat window. The pace which I'm going, is it all fine, or I'm going fast? Just put in the chat window. Good, okay, great. And I hope you're able to understand what I'm saying, because when I get excited, I speak very fast. So let me know if I'm going fast. No, great. Okay, thank you. Now, day 3. So this is all we are going to talk today. But then day 3, which is the final day, we are going to bring everything together. We're going to talk about machine learning and DevOps. So MLOps, DevOps, AIOps, FinOps, all those operations we talk about. Because once you know the cloud, once you know the data, once you know the AI, you need something to do day-to-day, manage and administer that. And that's what I did for first, maybe I think 12, 13 years of my career, all operations, administration, support, and all those things. And that is, we're going to look at the tools like Git, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Ansible, Prometheus, Grafana, Helm, and some of the CI/CDs we covered on day 1 on AWS. We're going to cover on CI/CD today on Azure, but then we'll go more on FinOps, MLOps, AIOps, and so on. And also new tools that are coming, which you should be learning, things like Kubeflow, MLflow, Python, and so on, which we'll be talking about day 3 as well. So this is what we're going to do. So these are tools which I said earlier just now, but then some of the other tools you might already be familiar with, or if not, maybe start working on these tools that you see. We'll also look at some of the DevOps certification that we're going to cover on day 3. Again, don't feel overwhelmed. You don't need to do all of them. Some people, different people do different things. Just 1 or 2 certification is more than enough. Don't make mistake of becoming a certification junkie. What you should be becoming junkie is this one, project-based learning, if you really want to get result quickly. We'll talk about that as well. So as I said at the start, my promise is by end of these 3 days, you will have full clarity on how to get certified and get a high-paying job, with it be it AI or data or DevOps or multi-cloud. Maybe one cloud also you can get a job. Each of these independent, you can get a job. But if you really want to earn very high salary, which is saying £1,000 plus, or maybe $1,000 plus, or whatever good salaries, the more you do, the better, because no one can then compete with you on those on those. And there are a lot of jobs like that where companies these are expecting you to know more than one skill. So and you can achieve all this as a beginner with no experience. And I'm going to show you tons and tons of guys who have achieved it. I've done it myself. And that's why I can say confidently, I'm not just me, but hundreds and thousands of guys. So you'll see that as well. I'll also talk about towards end a job accelerator. It's not for everyone. I want to highlight it's only for a handful of those. We announced it on December, and within probably you'll get a personalized roadmap and personalized plan. So we did it. I think in 12th of December we announced the first 5 seats were filled up for January very, very quickly. So we'll be opening up for February, and this only application only. We'll talk about that. And you have to fill a form, which will be giving towards end. Fill that form. And we need those details to handpick. But one thing I promise is that you'll make extra easily 30 to 40,000 or 50,000 minimum. You're going to make extra. I'm talking about, but it's only for, as I said, is to work very closely with me. I'm handpicking a new thing that we're trying out, and we picked up our first thing on for January batch. February batch will be picking a handful of that. So we'll talk about that form towards end. You have to fill this couple of details to see if you qualify for this or not as well. So with that, let's make this session interactive, focus, and ask the questions as well. Promise me that you're going to stay attentive and you're going to focus here as well. Or just put it and say, yes, promise me, and say P for promise. Just P for promise. Shan is saying, how can we get day one? Susan, I covered that at the start, so maybe watch replay, or maybe I'll cover that towards the end about how you can get hold of day one. Brilliant. All good. Okay, brilliant. See, promise, brilliant. Okay, so as I said, I'll keep it first very quick. Why you should be learning Azure. I've already mentioned AWS on day one. I'm going to talk about it Azure. First of all, cloud, important point, cloud. Cloud computing is going to grow 2.3 trillion or 2,200, close to 2,300 billion. It's a lot of money. We are right now here close to 650 billion right now, and it's going to be 4 times within a short period of time. So it's a huge, huge market. And what's fueling this cloud expansion is about AI, data, and everyone needs resources. They're going. So huge, huge market. And Azure is the fastest growing. It's not the top one. Of course, AWS is still leader, but Azure is the fastest growing. And with AI, they're closely filling the gap very, very quickly with the AI boom that you see Microsoft, because Microsoft has the biggest developer community. They also have OpenAI, biggest track in OpenAI. They also have Git they acquired. They have a lot of Microsoft SQL databases, and their investment in AI, they're quite closing up. A lot of companies are using. To so a degree that more than 95% of Fortune 500 companies are using Microsoft Azure Cloud. As I said on the day one, most of these companies these days are using more than one cloud, multi-cloud. Every top company you see, those are the companies, kind of a companies you want to work because they pay the best salary. So you look at Toyota, GE, BMW, Honeywell, Fujitsu, whatever company you see, Rolls-Royce, they will be using more than one cloud. So more than 95% Fortune 500 companies use Microsoft Cloud. If you look at the data part, very strong. Business intelligence, very strong. Power BI, which is a data analytics tool, very strong. So Microsoft AI, very strong. AI developer, very strong. So there are some tracks. AWS, of course, is a leader in infrastructure as a service. But if you look at a lot of data part or business intelligence part, Microsoft is leader in those magic quadrants that you see as well. With that, if you just search for Azure, thousands of jobs, whether in the US or UK or India or Middle East, Singapore, Ethiopia, as far as Africa, whatever you see, Middle East, you see. And in fact, they're growing rapidly. Thousands of jobs, 71,000 jobs, 11,000 jobs, 35,000 jobs, and so on. And then jobs. So with that jobs, these are the different roles that are available. I want you to put in the chat window which role you are. So these are 6 and 6, 12. Again, you don't need to fall in that 12 category. You might be project manager. I'll see a lot of guys, project managers come and work to how to implement this Microsoft Azure as well. So let me know in the chat window which one you are. Some of you guys already mentioned. Let me see. And I'm going to explain one by one here. If you're one of them, put in the chat window. That's me. Number wise, either number or number 5, Azure Data Engineer. Ashraf is saying brilliant. You're at a very brilliant place. Oh wow, Krishna, I love that. Okay, great. Azure Data Engineer. We'll talk about. So first is roll about, and I want everyone to go and identify yourself and say, this is either I'm this or I want to become this. And don't keep just one. I want you to do 1 + 1. So if you say administrator, maybe an architect or data administrator or something, add, because just one skill is not enough in my view. If you really want, one skill will get you a job, no doubt about it. But then have one more if you really want to stand out in the market. So administrator, they do day-to-day management of virtual machines, storage, networking, compute, all the infrastructure management, they part administrator. You have a developer, as the name suggests, someone who develop the application on cloud native applications on Microsoft Azure Cloud. So they'll be working on like functions, logic apps, app services. And there's a certification called AZ204, which is a developer track. Administration is someone AZ104. We'll see that, but they're the one who will be building networks, storage, compute, databases, day-to-day operations. Then you have as your solution architect, AZ305, as name suggests. They're the guys who will be doing designing and implementing, or should I use containers, or should I use Kubernetes, or should I use virtual machines? How many servers I need to build? Where should I deploy which servers? High availability, disaster recovery, RTO, RPO, data solutions. All those things will be done by a solution architect. Then I have a DevOps, which is a AZ400, which is doing CI/CD, which is doing maybe the end-to-end development and operations combined together. DevOps, day-to-day functions, CI/CD pipelines, source control, making sure that application runs successfully. Then you have a data engineer, as your name suggests, someone who is basically designing. We'll cover that as the second part. We'll go a little bit deeper into, you can identify data engineer. And then you have a data scientist who will be doing machine learning models, creating, deploying, training, retraining those models as well. And these are some of the skills you should probably be knowing and aware of. Then you have as your AI engineer, which is building AI cognitive services, bot services, conversational AI, that word you see a lot of those things. And certification for them is AI 102. Then we have security engineer, someone who's implementing, making sure that data is secure at rest, in transit. Data is also, all the services, encryption is enabled, network level security. I have different type of security controls, authentication, authorization, multi-factor authentication, Active Directory, which is or users, groups, role management. Then I have a network engineer, someone who does, which is a AZ700, which is a certification for connectivity, VPNs, express route. You will see some of these load balancers, DNS settings, and so on. Then I have a database administrator, this is how I started my career as an Oracle database back in 2000, 2001, with working with Oracle back in 2001, 2002 as well. So how do you build your Oracle database, the Azure databases? You do the same. Data engineer also now, I can kind of think of, they also do work on databases as well, but you can have a database engineer. You have an IoT engineer, you have functional who run Office 365 and so on as well. So let me see how many of you guys are. Yemi saying 1, 2, 3, 5, brilliant. 1, 2, 3, 5. You are in a very sweet spot. 1 and 5. Nilesh is saying 1 and 5, brilliant. That's exactly I did for first 10 years or so. Nilesh, brilliant. 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. Wow. You guys have picked up very good. Amol. Jishan is saying 1 and 3. 1 and 3, brilliant. Administration security. Solution architect, Azure solution architect, Azure AI engineer, brilliant. QA engineer. Vasai, so I'm working. What exactly you do? Add one more skill, just not QA is not enough. Azure data engineer, brilliant, Roshan. So Roshan, with data, do AI part as well, or machine learning part as well, and so on. Brilliant work. Okay, guys. So with that, let's look at now, these are the job roles. And if you look at these jobs, if you go and look at in USA, you have tons and tons of jobs. I've just picked up a handful of them, but MasterCard, look at Azure generative AI engineer. So there are lots of jobs. And right now, AI machine learning, there's not enough guys who know enough about. So I'll give you one tip. Always go with the most difficult skill to find a resource on. You will get an easy entry because you have to learn whatever you learn. Let's learn the most difficult part because the competition will be less. That's what I did in my career. You have an ENY, you have Goldman Sachs, these are all from US. The same thing with Canada. You see PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, EY, KPMG. There are data architect role. There's a cloud engineer role. You have tons and tons of different type of job roles. We're going to look at some of these today. Then you have India. Again, good salaries. Anyone from India, let me know, because I moved. I studied in India and then moved here in 2004. But since my mechanical engineering, I did it, and I studied in Hyderabad and Bangalore. Anyone from India? Would love to see how many of you guys are from India. No one? Just put in the chat window and let me know. Anyone from India? I think I saw some earlier. And which city you're from India? Salahuddin. Yes, sir, only two. Bhopal. Okay, brilliant. Bangalore. Originally from Pune, India. Rohan. Kokila, Uti. Nice. Okay. I studied from, my parents from Delhi. I moved to UK. No, I studied from IIIT Hyderabad and then Bangalore. I studied Bangalore. Brilliant. Superb. So there are tons and tons of jobs in India and good paying jobs that you see in Microsoft Azure Cloud. Again, PwC, there's a Infosys, there's IBM, there are tons of jobs as well. What I'm based, as I said, is I've lived and breathed in UK since, so as far as I remember, 20 years. So the salaries, you just search for Azure job, for example. In this case, I've searched for Azure Community Service, AKS, 700 to 750 pounds a day. There's a 110K, and there's a 95 to 105K. And this is an example which we'll see. Take an example. If you get a job like this, and if you're complete new to Azure, how are you going to prepare that? That's the use case we take it. So let's suppose this is a job description. If I'm in a place and I have known nothing about Azure, how I'm going to prepare to get a job like maybe 700, 750 pounds a day kind of a job. This is another job that will be doing cloud engineer. They look at all of this. So these are all the things which I'm going to cover later today. Now, when I show these jobs and say tons of jobs, I say in US, these are the jobs, and this is just a handful of. When I see tons, these are 70,000, 10,000, 11,000, 25, 35,000, and good companies and good paying jobs. But the one thing say there are jobs, but hey, I'm not getting jobs. How many of you guys are like that? I want you to put it into me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which one? You're applying for the jobs but not getting interview, because type me 1. If you're attending interviews but no job offer, me 2. Me 3 if you have a gap. Me 4, I'm not from IT background coding, because I've covered some of them, and I want to see put the chat window which one you are, so I can see 1. 2 of you guys are appearing. So I'll talk about today, if you're applying for the jobs or not getting interview call, what should you be doing. Number 5, Shikhar, if you're not from IT coding background, don't think that you're not from IT background. That should not be blocking you. In fact, I don't have any coding background, and I'm fingers crossed, I think I'm among the top earners here. I'm not saying just me, but there are a lot of 111, Nanda Kumar, 1, 2, 3. Gap, okay, brilliant. You're in a safe place. All those who said 1, I'll tell you what needs to be done. Anyone who's below, because typically I get a lot of other as well. 5 is saying, yep, 5 is not. 1, 2, 3, 3. I have a gap in my career. So I have tons of guys. Gap is not a problem, Damish. Okay, I'll explain you as well why. I don't know what to learn. Number 7, we're going to cover that today. So after today, you should not say that, hey, I don't know, that's why I'm not able to get a job, or I'm not getting good. 1, 2, 3, 5. We'll talk about that as well. Brilliant. Okay, with that, let's suppose all those who said 1, majority of them had said, I'm applying for the jobs, not getting interview calls. Pay special attention. These are 1, 2, or 3 roles mistake you might be doing. And after this, I'm going to ask you which one you're doing. Maybe write down all the things that you might be doing mistakes. So first of all, mistake I see is that it has improved a lot since I used to teach this for 2017. Last 7 years, I'm telling them it has improved a lot. But most of the guys who are not getting interview call, one of the major things they do is they have one resume and just publish everything on same resume, every job they do. So different job roles, but same resume. Or if they do very minor change. I'm not saying to lie anything. I'm not saying to fake anything, but I'm saying that spend at least 1 to 2 hours. For me, every job description I apply for the job, I spend 3 to 4 hours. I know it's a lot, but make sure that I apply 4 or 5 jobs, but I spend at least minimum 4 to 5 hours per job description, per resume, highlighting exactly the things which I've done. Or if I've not done, I'll go to the job and say, what are the hands-on lab and project I can do? Write down everything with a promise that I'm going to do them. And I do them actually. That's how I learn. So mistake number 1, same resume for different job role. If you're one of them, please don't do that. That's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, what they do is there are a lot of unrelated skills. I'll give you one or two because of the time. I'm not going to all of them. But if job roles is technical architect, you're writing about Prince2 Foundation certification. And if I'm an interviewer, if you're doing a technical role, why you want to do Prince, even if you've done it, don't put on that particular job, please, because that gives me a wrong impression about. Also, something you've done, maybe because I remember I did COBOL and Fortran and words, or some languages which are not used anymore. Don't put them, because your first 1 or 2 pages are very, very important, critical. Please make sure that you use them wisely. So unrelated skills, don't do that if you're doing that. Third thing I see is that you are building or sending the resume which is not a ATS compliant. And what I mean by ATS compliant is this application tracking system. A lot of these jobs, before even hitting to the human being, they go to the system through a ATS compliance or a system. And if they score, then only it goes to the human being. So make sure that either you hire a service or send or do something to verify that your application tracking system or the resume is compatible with application tracking system, which will be picked up by this automated system. If you don't, if those of you are already working with us, you have that facility for us. Send your resume, we'll tell you whether it's ATS compliant or not. So on our platform, you can check that facility as well. So make sure that you're not sending ATS compliant. You're not sending non-ATS compliant resume. Very, very important. That's some of the major things which I can think of seen day to day. Of course, there may be more. I'm giving you just a handful of that. Of course, we need to look at your resume as well. Other thing, if you've done all those things, there's a high probability that your LinkedIn, and if still not getting interview calls, LinkedIn might be not optimized. And what I might mean by LinkedIn is your resume says X and you have nothing like that on LinkedIn. So make sure that you highlight, especially add something. You can have multiple things. Let's suppose you're applying for 3-4 different job roles. Make sure you apply and write in on LinkedIn profile those different job roles as well. Whatever you're doing, add more and more on LinkedIn. LinkedIn should be very optimized, especially headline, summary, skills, and then project. And then this 12th one, not a lot of guys do. And if you're part of the programs, you probably already know, some of you guys are already part of programs. We put a lot of emphasis on content sharing, but write as an authority, write as someone who's already doing them, so that when someone picks up your resume, and then I looked at your LinkedIn profile, I know, okay, that your profile looks good. If I'm hiring for a data engineer or a data analyst, assume, and I look at a background image like this, I know instantly the person is doing data, and Microsoft has your data. Now, again, you might say, oh, but I'm also doing other things. Add those as well. Do AWS, do AI, machine learning, all those, so I know that I can instantly correlate and say, oh, this looks, and then write content around what you're learning as an authority, as helping clients. So that way, when I go to your LinkedIn profile, half battle before interview is already won. Or I can say, yeah, this looks good. Let me call him for this person for interview as well. Also, other thing not doing is, even if let's suppose you picked up a resume, go and this is what I covered on day 1 as well. So go and look at who's the person who's advertised this. In this case, Steve Daly. So I'll go and search on LinkedIn who this guy is, Steve Daly from SR2. And you can very quickly go to the LinkedIn and search for Steve Daly SR2, identify who the person is, and then reach out to, and because I can correlate, yes, he's from recruitment. He's doing SR2, his name matches. He's also public sector, he's hiring for public sector job roles. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the chat GPT and say, hey, provide me a connection request, write down something as per the job description and connect to Steve, connect me with Steve. You reach out to him. And imagine if you do it one person every day, in 30 days, you will have 30 connections who probably will be looking at your profile. You're connected with them. If you write something, they will always be in, or you will be in their feed. Or even if they're writing some content, leave some wonderful comment for them. So Steve Daly, for example, has written something, write a complimentary comment to them. And trust me, they will start remembering your name. These are some of the tips. If you follow, there's no reason why you should not be doing. And these are some of the tips I did for Joby. Some of you guys who are part of inside the program, you already know. He moved from US to Australia, and Australia already is a very remote place, not a lot of good jobs, and he came with the same problem. And said, and we gave these plus some additional tips, and of course some additional tips on that. Started getting back-to-back interviews, resulted job offer within 2 weeks. He already knew his only struggle was he was not able to reach out to the potential employers or not writing resume in a manner so that a recruiter or an employer thinks he has the skill. He already had a skill. Okay, even if you don't have a skill, I'm going to talk about what you do if you don't have a skill as well. So am I making sense? Put in the chat window how many of you guys making what mistakes you were doing. Put in the chat window those who said earlier one as well. Okay, 7 and 9, there were a couple of guys. Manjunath, I'll probably see what is 7. Subbu is saying, I'm an IT security, but want to learn skills that go along with Azure first and then enable. Absolutely brilliant, Subbu. How many of you guys were on the target? Hamid is saying, which one you were hitting? Which one of those which I mentioned? And if you've done all these things, done something wrong. You're not doing it properly. Irrelevant certifications, yes. Remove those irrelevant certifications. Rohan is saying irrelevant certifications. Don't keep it there. Do it wherever the job demands. Do all those things. Okay. Content. Great. Do those, please. Content. Resume. Highlight the when I look at a resume and the job description, I should say this is the guy exact match. That's how it should look like. And then what you should be doing is then going and whatever the job description demands, prepare the hands-on lab, which I'm going to cover a little bit shortly here. Only 3 guys have responded. More guys. Put in those who said 1. Let's show me what exactly you were doing wrong, or if you've done, you're saying I've done all this, still not getting. Okay, let me pick. Yeah, Subbu, but then you need more hands-on project, but there's no one stopping you from writing those that you already know. So even if you've not done, write it down with a promise that you're going to do it in the next 7 days or so, those projects, hands-on labs and projects. So not having more is not, yeah, absolutely, yes, brilliant. Okay. I'm going to pick up this question in a minute. Krishna keeps forwarding. Sumti, can you make a note of the questions? We'll cover some of the questions which I'm not picking right now towards, and so make sure that you remind me, please. Okay. So with that, let's move on to the next one. Is that next blocker is that, hey, you are getting interview calls, but not job offers, not able to clear those interviews, or what to learn in what order. You're confused. Who mentioned number 2? Anyone who is number 2 who is applying, anyone who's applying did not follow with a recruiter, you should be doing, Naveen. Trust me, recruiters get very good. So promise yourself then now, Naveen, one thing you take away from this session is make sure you follow with the recruiter. And you will have 30, 40, within 30 days, you should be able to have maybe reach out to two guys every day. Okay. And within, you'll have 50 recruiters who are constantly hiring for that role that you're looking for. Okay. They'll always. Okay. So who all are, if you are attending interviews, but not getting job offer, or you said, I don't know what to write, or I don't have a hands-on, this is what I'm going to cover. So there's an old broken way, which is not working versus new. And I did it my first 4 or 5 years. This is what I did. And in 2005-6, I said, oh, let me do, because I was in contracting. I wanted to do something which is when it's saying learn while applying. What people do is they learn. So they say, I don't have enough skills. I don't have so they go with a scarcity mind. They go with a lack mindset. What I mean by lack mindset is I don't know enough skills. I don't have enough this. I don't have, though it can be. So that's one approach, which is the right-hand side, which is not working. And if you are one, I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have enough hands-on. I don't have enough project. And till date, a lot of guys come in the program and say, don't worry about it. Irrespective of that, you apply and learn. You apply and learn. What happens is if you write your resume, everything that an employer is asking, if you've not done it, you apply, your recruitment, your resume is being picked up. Now you're on fire to clear the interview. Now, you may not be able to clear the interview because you don't have all the skills, which I'll tell you how you can, but you will learn so quickly. I'll give you some tips as well. So what happens is then new approach is apply even before you're ready. Fail fast. What I mean by that is that when you do that, a couple of things will happen. First of all, you will know what kind of a jobs companies are asking. Where to focus, because cloud is so huge. There's so many skills, which you'll see a little bit later. You'll feel overwhelmed. So you'll be focusing on what's the most important thing, and you will keep failing fast. You will learn what employers are asking, and you keep doing those parts. That's where we say 80-20, which means 80% of the result will come from 20% of effort. What we do other way is we do 80% of effort, we get only 20% result. The approach which I take is 20% effort so that I get 80% result. How? I'm going to show it to you. Are you still with me? Am I making sense? We are not doing Salesforce demos, so sorry if it's Salesforce. You can don't say or don't waste your time. Yes, Nand. Thank you. Anyone else? Is it making sense? Yes. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Yes. Okay. So So I'll show you. They say, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. People say, oh, I have to first do the certification. I have to learn everything. And that's the problem. Is what happens is you spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months and you start losing momentum. You don't see much progress because of that. So what approach we do is, let's take an example. This is a job you saw. Now you know nothing about Azure, you know nothing about AKS, you know nothing about Kubernetes. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick up the key skills. They're talking about Azure. They're talking about Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS. And if you don't know, just quickly search on what is AKS means, what is SecOps means, what is SecOps, whatever the key skills that you see cloud platform means. And then I'll explain you that, but you can pick up very, very quickly. How many of you guys are Kubernetes background? I covered that on day 1. So I'm not going to cover very quickly. I'll give you a point here just so that you understand the context as well. Anyone who doesn't know the Kubernetes cluster here, because I covered on day 1. Anyone here? So I can let me know. We're going with the time. I think we're okay. We have a lot to cover. Guys, quick. Respond me. If not, anyone who doesn't know. Okay, so let me skip this. I've covered on day 1. Go and look at the Kubernetes on day 1. Then if I've not heard or not seen anyone from. So go. So implementation of Kubernetes on AWS, or sorry, on Azure, you have Azure Container Registry, which is nothing but images through which your application runs. So you have a registry. You store the images through which your application is being built in Azure Container Registry. You can create a container instances using Azure Container Instances, which is containers one by one. You manage, your Azure is managing. But the managed Kubernetes is Azure Kubernetes Service, which is Kubernetes implementation. And that's all you need to know. So when you're writing, so what are you going to do? You're going to go and create all these things. So I'm going to create a container registry. I'm going to create a container instance. I'm going to create a Kubernetes cluster. So first, I'm going to go to the Azure portal. So if I show it to you, by the way, you can also create a Azure. I'll show you this is Azure portal look like. How do you create if you don't have? Go to the portal which I mentioned, which is k29academy.com/free community. And everything you can get it. You can get it. So you go and click on Classroom, and then go and create a free account if you don't have one. So you go to free accounts. I've given you all the 4 clouds. You go to Azure free account, and then there's a step-by-step guide and video. Follow this. Assuming you have created, you come here and say ACI, Azure Container Instance. You can go and create an instance and play with this. I'm not going to do it right now because of time, but you can easily go and search. You can do, or I'll tell you how you can get hold of all this, which I mentioned in a minute. So you go and create container instance, container registry. So this is a very step. And on this, you learn what these are. So I don't know about resource group. Do learn what is resource group. I don't know what is image. Learn about it. So as you're doing, just start following that. And so once you've created an instance, then you go and you can create a Kubernetes cluster. Again, how do I go? I can go and then say AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service, AKS here, and you can go and create a Kubernetes cluster. There's a lot of enough documentation available here. So go and create, and I've created a Kubernetes cluster, and then I need to look about storage, because everything is storage. So what are those storage? We'll see that a little bit second part of that. So I go and create Azure Disk storage. I can also do the shared file system, like shared file system. So I can do those as well on here. I can do something called as persistent volume. So I learn these things as required. I can also, you should also do one integration with Entra ID. So what is Entra ID? You probably go and search for, which is for users, groups, security. So I go and integrate my Kubernetes cluster with Entra ID. And then I can do some projects related to. So I've done all these things, deployed the application, maybe create a containerized Java application, or maybe do a CI/CD, which is creating the Kubernetes cluster using Terraform, but then deploy using Azure DevOps, a .NET application, a Java application, a Python application. Or I can do and say Azure DevOps security using SonarQube, or I can do containerized application. Do them, and if you have a path, which I'm going to talk about towards end, this whole hands-on lab with the project work, you do those projects, and within 2 or 3 days, you will learn enough so you can go and talk and interview. So once you know these, go and prepare your resume based on the ChatGPT AI gave you and said some of the tips. So write down, and resume, which is Azure Kubernetes focus. So write down what you've worked. So typically when you create a Kubernetes cluster on Azure, you create a cluster, you deploy, you do the storage, you do the networking, you do the security. And this is any application you do: storage, networking, compute, databases, and security. And then how do you deploy that? All those things. And that's pretty much. Once you've done that and prepared resume, I'm going to go and then look for what are the interview questions can I come. So the beginner level interviews, the intermediate level, more advanced level, and a scenario based. Prepare them. And within 3 to 4 days, if you just focus on, remove everything, just focus on these 3-4 days, I can guarantee you can clear the interviews if you focus on these parts. So you do end-to-end hands-on project related to Kubernetes, and you can crack within 3 or 4 days these interviews. I've done it. Hundreds of guys we have claimed and have done it. But yes, you have to stay focused and you have to stay learned. How many of you guys can believe that you can do it or not? It's easy to say, but if you don't believe, just write down, don't believe, and be open and transparent. But if you follow this exactly, if you have all these things, that you get these projects, which is Kubernetes, these hands-on which I mentioned about, which is create a cluster, create a Kubernetes cluster, deploy the application, configure the storage, configure persistent volumes, AD integrations, and do these projects end to end. What are the chances of you getting? You may fail one time. You do apply second job after and learn more. Third time, fourth time, I can guarantee you on fourth or fifth attempt, you will clear the interviews. Do you feel confident? Yes or no? Put the chat window. Yes or no? Yes, no. Amol, now, if you try, you might fail once, you might fail twice, you might fail third time. But if you do it enough, maybe fourth or fifth attempt, which will be much quicker than I want to learn everything. The problem mistake people do is they try to learn everything and then becomes struggle. Yes. Okay, and I tell you exactly, this is how people get result, Vaishali. And because I know, because I was hesitant, I was skeptical earlier initially that, but I started implementing when I was on contracting. For contracting, I change every 1 year or so, 3 months, 6 months. I always, not because my employer doesn't want to continue with me, but I wanted to increase my rate. I was on a 425 pounds a day, 550, 600, 650. Every couple of 6 months or a year, I increase my rate by every day, 100 pound, 150 pound every, and that's how I did it. Yeah, getting calls are more challenging. That's because your resume is not aligned. There are thousands of jobs. If you're not getting calls, that's because your resume is not aligned as per the job description. That's a challenging. That's why your LinkedIn is not aligned. If you're not getting interview calls, that's the problem. Not skills. Skill, they don't even know that you don't know the skill. You can write it down as long as you promise to do it. And you should be sincere on doing. So this is exactly what I said. This is what Vaishali and I think she was made redundant or she was crucial role. I don't remember, but I landed my desired job within 30 days after ending the program. These are the kind of a result we show, and I can guarantee you, as long as you're sincere to study to learn. And so this is Vaishali. Another one, Ashma, secured a job as a senior IT operations manager in Dubai. I think she moved from US to Dubai. She wanted to stay closer to India. I think either from India or Pakistan, I don't remember. But she moved from US to stay closer to family and she picked up Dubai. And she's still doing, improving, keeping my hands on complete on AZ 305. So she's still doing solution architect, but she picked up job on this. Now, again, I'm not saying that, oh, this is, once you've done this, that's it. No, you need to learn, keep learning and keep doing, becoming best in that particular job. So this is just one step to get a job. I was talking about Vaishali. This is another one here. Here from India. Atisha is from my team. She handles and manages. I received my first job offer as Azure Cloud engineer. Happy about, expecting 2 more offers soon. Once they arrive, I'll decide. I have tons of them. Another one, which is Yash, data engineer in LA. I just received an offer from a bank in Los Angeles as a data engineer. And my resume also picked up for contract position on Facebook. He's still picked up on him. Another one, Dinesh, from India. I got a job as a technical program manager on cloud. And then certification lectures helped to showcase that the knowledge on Azure Cloud. Plus my program manager's experience. So he already had a program manager, but then he added cloud, Microsoft Azure Cloud, because they were doing cloud project. And he can show it and say, that's a perfect combination, deadly combination, project manager, but with cloud knowledge. Project manager, but with a data knowledge, how a data project runs, how an AI machine learning project runs, How many project managers? Any project managers here? Put the chat window, yes. Is this for DevOps jobs? Yes. So this is one of the jobs. So Magesh, Azure Kubernetes service is a part of DevOps. It could be different roles, but yes. Okay. So now with that, let's look at what to learn. Just put it and say what. Put the chat window, say still with me on what to learn. So this is, I gave you a glimpse of how you can do the shortcut. And that too, if you're in rush or you want to learn quickly. Okay. So what to learn? Just put in the chat window what. And let me see. Are still guys with me? I want to go fast right now. We have done probably less than an hour. I'm going to go. Put in the chat window and say you're still with me. What? What? Okay. There's only very slow. Type W. Still with me. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah. Now, Hamid is saying, which one should I go with AWS Azure? Why not? Why pick one? Pick both or either of them. Wherever you see job, it doesn't matter whether you want to pick Azure first, AWS first, whatever first. Just pick. Don't overthink it. Okay. So with that, let's look at, as I said, in order for you, this is the frame which I mentioned about on right from triage, this job. In that, this is the step I talk about is once you know where the strengths are, what you want to become, and once you know where you want direction you want to go, this is the 3-step framework which I say, which is learn by hands-on labs and project, LinkedIn, resume, and mock. This is what I was talking about. This is what is the cycle we do. So step number 1, master the Azure Cloud and project. This I'm talking just Azure, but you can do AWS, you can do for data, you can do for AI, machine learning, and so on. And then make sure you cover it with a perfect resume and LinkedIn, very important. And then do multiple mock interviews and then negotiate salaries and so on. So this is the high level which I said, right from basics to compute to networking to storage. Now, again, you don't need to do all of them to get a job, but eventually if you want to become an expert, have a knowledge of all those once you get a job, or you learn or get paid for to learn. So learn enough to clear the interview and then learn on the job. So we'll pick, first of all, this is the overall Azure landscape. So if you see basic, this is the physical infrastructure, physical data center. This is where the machines that you see, the data centers, the server room that you see. On top of that, you have basic infrastructure. We did it on day 1 about AWS as well. You have a compute, which is nothing but a CPU and memory. Then you have a storage, 3 types of storage. You have a block storage, object storage, file storage. We covered on day 1. If not, go back to day 1. Then you have a networking, which is connectivity. Everything like the way we did in AWS, same. Then you have security management. You have an Entra ID, Azure Active Directory, users, groups, roles, multi-factor authentication, your key vault to encrypted keys that you see. You have integration related services, you have analytics services, you have a data engineering services, you have a developer services, you have a mobile services, and so on. And then you might have some things, operations, day-to-day operation related services, and so on. So this is a very 30,000 foot view that you see in Azure. Now, it's important that you have regions which could be within a region. It could be US East, US West. It could be UK North, UK South. It could be India East, India North, India South. If it could be Europe, within Europe, different countries. And within that, you can have a physical data center, physical locations. And why you need to know about these things? Because when you're deploying a highly available architecture, especially those who are an architect, you probably might be having active passive or active active, depending on the application. RTO, RPO, recovery time objective, recovery point objective. Based on that, you will decide, and also the costing money, because everything costs. It's not free. Also look at the business requirement, what the business requirement are. So you can have a database tier in replication if the type of database you pick supports that. Then you have a availability, your database, the virtual machines in something called as availability set. You don't need to do it right now. I'm going high level, like auto scaling feature or not. You can have a web tier. You can have a load balancer. And then you have a failover load balancer here. Same thing, duplicated, replicated data on disk-to-disk level replication. And then on top of that, you have a load balancer, or you can have a another services, traffic manager, global traffic manager, or local traffic manager. You can a lot of those things, but set up high availability. And then you have a site recovery. If this site fails, you can go on to the secondary site and important from. So this is important based on availability zones or regions and so on. So that's one important point. Still with me? Put the chat window. Yes, still with me. Still with me? Put the chat window. Are you still with me? Yes. Brilliant. Okay. Then again, I'm going to go, you can go multiple architectures. Because of time, I'm giving you enough so that you can go deeper into them later. Then you have a compute and storage. So in compute, you have virtual machines. We saw on AWS as well, similar. You have app services, which is a platform as a service implementation. When I asked on day one, what is ISPaaS? My team have referred to the video. Go and watch that video. We'll go deeper if required. Then with containers, we saw earlier, which is a container platform, instances of containers that you can Microsoft Azure do. You have a Kubernetes implementation on Microsoft Azure Cloud. You have a virtual desktop. And there are different type of compute services. Then that compute will need the storage underlying data to store. So you can have a blob, which is nothing but an unstructured data we call, which means your movies, your files, your backup and restore, your large files, and so on. You have queues. If you're coming from IT background, otherwise don't worry. That's a messaging queue that you do, message in, message out. You have file shares, which is a one shared file system across multiple machines we covered in day one. Then you have a disk, which is depending on, you can attach a disk to a virtual machine, which is a premium high input output VM disk and so on. So these are different type of storage that comes all under a storage account in Microsoft Azure Cloud. So you should be knowing and familiar with that. So this is how a typical look like. This is outside my resource group, which is nothing but a collection of resources. So what you see here, whatever I'm creating, the first thing it's going to ask me is, let's suppose I create a virtual machine. So if I go say an VM, which is nothing but a laptop or a machine, think of it as a machine. If I'm creating, first thing it's asking me to create or do it here is to create a resource group. So resource group is nothing but collection of resources that I do. If you see here, I'm resources, I'm going to create a resource group, which means everything managed as a one unit. Create, manage permissions, all those things I can do it centrally. So resource group. In that, I'm creating a network to get my IP addresses. I'm creating a machine but machine will need a storage. So I'm attaching a disk. I can have a physical disk or an external disk or managed disk I can do. And that machine will need an IP address. That IP address will come from a virtual machine, VNet, virtual network inside a subnet. And I'm connecting through DNS to this IP address, public IP. So this is a storage, networking, and compute, the basic fundamentals if you're working on infrastructure service. Am I making sense? Are you still with me? Just say yes. I want to be attentive. I can't see your faces, but then say, is it making sense? Yes, because I'm going to ask you to rate me in 5-star, and I want you to give me 5-star because my team has said if you don't get 5-star, they're not going to give me the credit that they deserve. Thank you very much. Great. Okay, so that's one. Now, what you do is you learn, because as I said, this is all theory right now, but you can go and create a free account. So I've given you a free account. How to create? I've mentioned to you earlier, go to this site, which have a free school, cloud school, and here under classroom, free account, go and play this. And you should be able to go and create the same thing you can do AWS, same thing you can do. And if you hit any problems, you go and post community, help each other. And I'm going to approve that whosoever is requested. Yeah. Okay. So then you go and so one thing. So you go and create, but then you create a virtual machines of Linux type, Windows type. You deploy as a scale set automatically, auto scaling, and so on. You do web app and so on. You can do the networking, which I'll cover a little bit later with networking part. But then you do storage. You create a disk. You create a key vaults. You do Azure file share, and then attach that file share to the Windows machine or a Linux machine. Or you do a blob lifecycle management of storage account. You can do a lot of other things, but do it based on the job description, what job demands. Okay. Then you do create a Kubernetes cluster, create a registry, create container instances, create Kubernetes cluster, create a SQL database as a platform as a service in Azure Kubernetes service, more advanced labs as we go more and more matured. Secure Kubernetes cluster, deploy containers on to Azure app services and web apps and so on. So that's number one, which is storage and networking. Oh, sorry, storage. With that, let's begin networking. How many of you guys are networking? How many of you guys are doing on networking? So we do networking. So this is a outer layer, my Azure Cloud. Within that, what I'm doing is I'm creating an outer network VNet. And within VNet, I create small subnets. A subnet, which is think of it as you have a bigger house. In that house, you're making rooms. And in that room, I'm creating a bedroom, for example. And this is my bed. So SQL database is a database tier, we call. If you're coming from a 3D architecture, those of you are coming from 3D architecture, this is how you deploy 3D architecture on cloud. I'm having a database. Then I might have a VMF if possible, or maybe typically keep it outside or create multiple resources. Then I might create an application tier where I create machines. And then, so these are part of different networks. So I can segregate this. I can have a different firewall rules. And then I create a web tier and go and deploy load balancer in that. And then what I do, maybe I want to put a VM and just to play with that and so on. Then something called as a best in host. I can live with this all thing, but that brings a security risk because the data is still, though you can encrypt the data, but then much more secure is a best in host, which is a HTTPS layer, or if you're familiar with the networking layer 7, and trust me, I come from no networking background. I've learned it on the job. When someone is saying best in host, they say layer 7, I go and search what is layer 7 of OSI model and go deeper into, but only when I need it, so that I learn, understand. So go and best in host, layer 7, and then on that best in host, only 443, which is a SSL is allowed. So I'm going to drill a hole in my firewall NSG, we call allow 443. So anyone is coming and won't any access the backend, nothing except 443 is allowed because 443 is encrypted, secure HTTPS layer encrypted data. So no one can hack. Even if someone drop the packet, crack that packet, they will not be able to open it because it's encrypted. So then I then also from best in host, I'm only opening port number 22 if it's like PuTTY, or 3389 if it's RDP. From here, I'm only opening whatever the port required, nothing more, nothing less. And then I do, and maybe I want to go on to hit this load balancer and only allow whatever that port number load balancer is listening. I'll even configure my load balancer on a encrypted secure load balancer. From load balancer, I'll say my VMs are listening on port number 8000, so I'm only allowing 8000 port number. And then my database is listening on 1443. I'm only allowing 1433 port number. That too, only from VM, this machine. If anyone try to hide here, they will not be allowed. That's a secure way of doing things. Then I want to connect. This is alone, but I don't want to connect from internet. I want to connect from my office premise, which is sitting on left hand here on premise. So what I do, I have two options. I can either connect through VPN or I can connect through express route. What those are, I will explain in a minute. But then in order to connect this, I need something called as the VPN gateway configured here. And this is overall configuration I do. So this is a very 30,000 foot view on this. Is it making sense? This is what we need to do or do on a network level. Am I making sense? Correct. App is layer 7. That's correct, Subbu. Yes. Is it all making sense? Does it on again, we are going high level. Can I connect Azure to on-premise CyberArk? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, Subbu. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So that's why we are saying we are doing app layer is much more secure. So that's why rather than going on a network layer, I'm going Subbu on a app layer to connection. Yes. Okay. So this is again, I might have a different networks in a different regions we saw. So there's something called peering, which we saw earlier, peering. Now connectivity with VPN, I can have a point to site, which means I'm connecting just my laptop to securely VPN. It's point to site VPN. But I have an on-premise data center with Microsoft Azure, which is site to site S2S VPN. The steps are slightly different, but you can configure within your trial and account. You can do and configure these things. But then, hey, I need a dedicated pipe. This is using this is encrypted data, but going over the internet. So I'm on the mercy of internet, whatever bandwidth I'm getting, I'm sharing that bandwidth with someone else. So the network traffic is not, the latency is I can't control. But here in Express Route, I have a dedicated pipe, which is only for me. And I can bring gigabytes of network transfer rate or 10 gigabytes and so on. So I can do this Express Route. And this is what I was talking about on day one. So I can have a Express Route on Azure side and AWS side. I have a direct connect. They're talking to each other. So now I can run it as a one data center. My application, my VM, for example, in Microsoft AWS Cloud, my database on Microsoft Azure Cloud. Or my applications here, but my Active Directory or single sign-on or security application here. Or my the S3 buckets are here, storage is here, S3 buckets, but my application running here. Latency-wise, I'm having some milliseconds of network. Still with me? This is how you deploy on as well. So this is what you do on networking. So then you perform labs, you create resource groups, create virtual network subnets, and then configure best in host, configure VNet peering, configure firewalls, configure network security endpoints, security groups, DNS, identities, VPNs, front door, um, DNS zones, app services, traffic manager, and so on. And then if you want, there's a certification called AZ700, which is network engineer. Again, don't need to do it just for the sake of doing it. Do it if you have to become an expert. But your focus should be first job, prep job. Job doesn't need you to be certified. Job need to be, they want someone who has done it. Certification is bonus. Okay, so then you can go for AZ certification. Again, if you work with us, we give you tons and tons of each exam certification exam. We give tons of certificate. The questions with also explanation of why answer is right or wrong. So certification is super easy. You can clear the certification, not an issue. You can go for all the different modules wise explanation why the certification, tons and tons of questions. So that was one AZ700, but then there are more common ones are AZ900, which is foundation level certification, or you have AZ104, which is administration. Some of you guys were looking for. So fundamentals, again, very basic cloud concepts, Azure architecture, services, and Azure management and governance. You can crack it within probably, don't spend more than a week. If you're spending on Azure fundamental, or spend more than a week, there's something wrong. And that's why people take months and months to clear AZ900. More than max 3 to 4, in worst case 7 days. If spending more than 7 days, something wrong as well. And that's the speed you need to work and do that. So again, we give you exact like hundreds and hundreds of sample questions you can clear and do the basics, understand. There are 4 modules. We do 6 modules, officially 4 modules. We go a little bit above and beyond in this. You get, as I said, tons and tons of success stories for the clear fundamentals. Again, we have tons of, I'm not picked up because I have so many later. I don't want to bore you with the certifications, but you go for Azure Administration AZ104. This is where you can spend a little bit of time because you're going a little bit deeper into understanding and actually performing extensive hands-on labs. So AZ104, you go, again, same, you get tons and tons of questions, but then do a little bit of hands-on lab. So this is a guys, again, as I said, AZ900 certifications. Bhupendra, here, Pradeep, Aladdin. I have another one here from HR from India, passed my AZ. This is AZ104, which is again Emma from +49, I think is Europe. Retha, Australia. Another one, Yusuf from US. LJ, passed my 104. On the learned here, that also brief. Definitely this program helped me a lot. Learned here, also a brief review on the job training sites. And then here, Shanky, AZ204, which is the developer track. Here, Jax, US, 2 with 800 participants online, so couldn't take printout. I just updated AZ204 with 715 marks. Again, administrator as well. Piyush, I can go on and on. Raja, Prem, Radha, Manish. This one is old one. John, and so on. Asif, keep going. I said, let me move. So how you do this is a developer track. I don't think there are a lot of developers, any developer, otherwise I can skip that. Again, you can pick up same thing with developer track. We give you tons and tons of questions. So certification becomes is quite easy. I'm the one here. These got Jax clear that AZ204. So that's administration, that's developer, that's foundation, and Azure fundamental 900, AZ900. With that, we're going to move on to DevOps, Terraform, Ansible. A lot of guys were yesterday shown interest, so I've spent a little bit more time into DevOps. I can go fast, I can go slow. Are we going to the right speed, guys? Are we still at the right speed? I'm going to need, we probably need, I need to go data as well. So are we okay doing time-wise? Are we okay? Demis, if you want to go hands-on, we covered in day 1. I'll explain you. Take the questions. Something, make a note of all these questions. I'm going to ask and remind me. Yes, we are going. Developer here, but looking to switch to yes. Great. Yes. Okay. So with that, let's look at the Azure DevOps and Terraform. So this is Azure jobs again. Say DevOps. There are a lot of jobs in DevOps. Of course, jobs are everywhere. Trust me. But this is what you're going to do. There are again more jobs in DevOps. So this is a very high-level DevOps I covered. We're going to go on day 3 much deeper. Business law analyst, write a story. Developer will code or will use maybe a developer tool. They will code and put into code repository. And then I'll use some automation CI/CD tools like AWS Code Pipeline or Azure Pipeline or Jenkins or GitOps or and so on. Me as an ops person will use infrastructure tools like Terraform, or AWS Cloud Formation, Azure ARM templates. I build infrastructure. It could be virtual machines. It could be Docker. It could be Kubernetes. It could be web app. It could be functions and so on. And then I'll be deploying these applications given by developer on this infrastructure, which are built as an ops engineer on this. And then I build multiple environments and test engineer will test these things. This is again 30,000 foot view, enough for someone who doesn't know what is a DevOps lifecycle, which is more than enough for you to understand. And now if you look at from a Microsoft Azure Cloud, they have entire tools, and within Microsoft Azure, they provide every service right from Azure board. If I'm doing stories, I can do it from Azure board, similar to Jira or Confluence if you're using. Then me as a developer will be using Visual Studio Code, which is for code writing now. Make sure you also do Copilot. Keep an eye. Next week, we are going to release Microsoft Copilot program and also AI for developers and AI for techies. That's something, keep an eye on that as well. So Visual Studio Code, you write down, and then I put into Azure Repo, which is nothing but a Git compliant code repository, like this code repository, which I'm going to keep. Then using Azure, there's something called a test plan. I'm going to write the test plans, and using Azure pipelines, which is doing all CI/CD, which you'll see in a minute. I'm going to go and deploy my entire application, maybe to a web app, or maybe to a containers or Kubernetes, maybe to a normal VM and so on. And then using Application Insight, Azure Monitor, a lot of other things. I'll be monitoring these applications on a very 30,000 foot view DevOps. Am I making sense? Is it still with me? Yep. Just put it, is still with me? And I just want to know, because I don't know how many am I making sense or not, because sometimes I go fast, sometimes I go slow. So yes, okay, great. Okay, thanks. Now, these are some of the tools. Azure Board I mentioned, Azure Repo I mentioned, Azure Pipeline, Azure Test Plan. Azure Artifact is whatever came out from my from Repo, build a deployable unit that becomes Artifact, which is used by my entire for deploying applications. So I can deploy, it could be image, virtual VM image, it could be application image, it could be a container image and so on. So package everything into Azure Artifact. Now this is a flow. So a whole flow, I have in Azure DevOps, I have a CI, continuous integration, CD, maybe deployment. Okay, and then I have an environment like dev environment, Q environment, prod environment, and I can automate all these things. I can do manual, I can automate it, I can say step. So right from here, developer developing go into repository. CI, what will do? It will pick up the code and create a deployable unit. And then my CD will go and deploy. It can automatically create these in these. Web app is just an example of it. Could be containers, it could be Kubernetes, it could be VM and whatever. So it can go and deploy these into different environments. I can do automation approval based. I can do manual, whatever I can do, you can deploy these all through the CI/CD tools here. Now, I want to take it to the next level. I can do all these environment build, web app build through something called as Azure Resource Manager template, ARM templates, which is similar to automating the infrastructure build, ARM. You also have Azure Biceps, which is also a method of automating this. So now I can also do third-party open source Terraform. And to build the infrastructure, these web apps that you see or underlying infrastructure, or could be my whatever I showed you earlier. So when I'm going on to this example for I'm doing this, I'm creating these VMs or storage or networking, everything or Kubernetes cluster, all the network infrastructure I build, I can do it using this Terraform here. So if I want to extend it further, these are advanced use cases. This is my Azure CI/CD with Terraform. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create Azure resource group resources and build that using Terraform. So me as a developer or as an ops person using code repository will store all my code. So from Azure Pipeline, it's going to pick up my Terraform scripts and build a Terraform deployable unit. It's going to pick my application logic code. I'll put it to .NET or a Python or Java or whatever you want to pick. Then CD part is going to go and pick up this Terraform script and then build this underlying infrastructure that my application needs to deploy. And then this another CD part, another part will go and deploy this application, which is developed by developer, on top of the infrastructure that I built. It could be web app, it could be Kubernetes service, it could be VM and so on. And then I built my application ready. That's how you do runs in automation these things. And you can do it probably within a day or max. Understand, automate, do end-to-end, all of these things. We give you all the code and everything. Are still with me? Yeah. So on-prem, I do JFrog. Absolutely. Super brilliant. You can scan the code, third party. You can include that. You can build a sonar cube. In fact, there's a project you can incorporate and say hook and say I'm doing a security as a part of this. You can include all those things as well. So, and this is how you learn quickly. So then you go for, there's a separate portal called Azure DevOps portal, dev.azure.com. And then you enable parallelism is like when you're doing these multiple jobs are firing in parallel, you need to enable parallelism. You to do version control. You to implement GitHub Actions. You do automate the infrastructure using Terraform and pipelines. You can in fact do Kubernetes, Sonar Cube might be there as well. Also, more things are logging, monitoring important, log analytics and so on, and virtual machines. And then you go for AZ400, one certification if you want. Again, AZ400. So this is the whole path how I go, right from getting started with DevOps to implementing enterprise DevOps through CI/CD to GitHubs, design, implement, release strategy, Azure pipelines, infrastructure as a code, implement security, validation. This someone was asking about. So this was talking about implement OWASP, static analyzers, all the security, do some labs around these. Also design dependency management and then continuous feedback and do this as a DevOps certification. Still with me? Yes. Brilliant. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So this is again, as I said, is I don't leave on guys done and no. So this is again UK Jewel cleared. Excited to say I've cleared AZ400. Dinesh, I think Disha, yeah, +91 India. Vara cleared my AZ400. He's already done AZ104, 400, AZ900. Neha UK cleared my AZ400 as well. Brilliant. And again, as tons and tons of Tejas, Harsha, Rajesh, and so on. And then comes your cloud migration. Again, I'll keep it high level. Depending on the type of application you have in infrastructure, you can have a VMs. You have a database on VM. You can have an application server on VMs. You have a web server on VM. You have a file server on that. Depending on that, you might be using a database migration service, a VM migration service, or you have a file migration service. And then you migrate depending on targets. It takes a lot. I'm just giving a simplified version of, but then you make a strategy. On day one, we covered AWS 7 hours. You do the same method here, and then use these tools to migrate. So then do some hands-on, actually migrate an application and data in the database on maybe using Recovery Vault, site recovery, and so on. And for data, you can either use a fast connect, dedicated pipe, or you can use a data box to migrate the whole data part. And then you go for solution architect. Again, solution architect, you can do it in any order, but for solution architect, I think there's a prerequisite which is AZ104. For DevOps, there is a prerequisite AZ104 or 204. But again, you go for Azure Solution Architect. A main about is designing. This is more about is the identity, governance, monitoring, data storage, all those infrastructure part. Again, I've said whole point right from authentication, authorization solution, designing the solution of that, designing the governance solution, compute solution. In compute, you're going to decide, am I going to go for VM or containers or a web app or maybe something else or a logic app? I'm going to go for relational and non-relational databases. And within non-relational, what kind of a data types? I'm going to build my data hubs. How I'm going to do data integrations. How I'm going to do my architecture look like? How do you go to do logging monitoring? How I'm going to do the network infrastructure solutions? How I'm going to do business continuity, high availability, disaster recovery? How I'm going to design my migration from on-premise to cloud? You do all of those. Don't do just for the certification, do it for the knowledge. That's what they say. That's how I've set me apart from others. And then you do, of course, with hands-on lab and the project work, and then tons and tons of quizzes. In this could be slightly different scenario-based questions you probably can expect as well on solution architect. Again, Sridevi cleared recent AZ305. Then again, Deepak India, AZ305 104. Break-in, I've done AZ305 solution architect. Another one, Sridevi, Brian, Mohammed, I have tons and tons of Brian, again, I've said. Josh, UK, clear, just passed my 305. Bhupendra, Deepak, and so on. That brings us to the infrastructure part. We're going to look at the data services part. So, a lot of guys who are data architect are still data architect. This is a live class, Alfred. This is a live class. You learn from live. Okay. So how many are data guys? Are still, yeah. Well, take a sip of water. How many of data guys? I started my career as a DBA. Billion Hamid. If you're a DBA, any data architects, any data engineers? Yes, Amol. Amol, your name looks familiar to me. I'm not sure whether you're part of program. I'm not Amol. I have Amol. I'm not sure whether it's the same Amol. Okay, might be different. Okay, brilliant. So let's look at on from a data services point of view, Azure data services point of view. I need a couple of more messages to feel excited because I have a lot bigger than group. Multitasking, come back, guys, again. Yes, Krishna, we do have. Do we update the course on to do? Yes, absolutely, Krishna. Yes. Demis, okay, brilliant. Yes. One more. I'm greedy here now. One more on Azure data services or data guys. Yes, brilliant. Okay, let's with that. Let's begin on Azure data services. This is a data engineering pipeline. So what do? You ingest, which means data coming from multiple sources. It might be coming from web, smartphones, your ERPs, your systems, emails, events, IoT devices, APIs, data. And then you do and use either through data lake batch processing, or you're going Event Hub, Synapse, and bringing the data, you put into temporary store. And from here, you take it to ETL. You can do enrich the data. You can transfer the data, change to make it meaningful, and then goes and store in a storage solution. It could be SQL database. It could be Cosmos DB. It could be Synapse, and so on. So different depending on. And this is where your data architect or solution architect will say how and where I'm going to use my data, and that's the role of data architect, data engineer. And from this data store, then I can use it for Power BI. Or maybe I can use my custom application. I can use Tableau, or I can use Synapse Analytics and so on. Below that, I'm using my entire infrastructure that I'm using, maybe for security, because I need this data to be secured. I also need network connectivity to go from transmission. I also need CI/CD. I can put data ops, which will be covering on day 3, and then monitoring and logging part. So these are the services high level. And couple of these you should be knowing. Storage account, must know. Lake storage, yes. Databricks, yes, must know. Cosmos DB, must know. SQL database, you probably already know. Analytics, hugely in demand. Stream Analytics, Data Factory, hugely data developer. If you're ETL tools, Data Factory, do all these things. If you're working in big data Hadoop, then HD Insights. But Cosmos DB, Databricks, data lakes, storage accounts, SQL databases, these are all hugely popular. So with SQL database, you can typically do it on a virtual machine. This is called as infrastructure as a service. Then you have a platform as a service, which is SQL managed instances or SQL database pool of resources. Again, because of time, I'm not going to go deeper, but make sure you do and learn both of these SQL databases. Then SQL Data Factory, which is data coming from, as I said, different cloud SaaS applications and maybe third-party applications and so on. Data Factory is the one which is going to do ETL, extract, transform, and load, and put it into some things in the middle, which is change and put it so that I can build my reports, my developer, BI guys can do it. So this is an example of another Synapse Analytics, which is hugely popular as Azure Synapse for analytics, end-to-end analytics. So data coming from different sources, streaming data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, relational data, or different data services. And then I'm all going into Synapse pipelines. So analytics, this gives you end-to-end pipeline Synapse. That's why it's becoming a lot of popular. So pipeline. And then it will go and store into Azure Data Lake, ADLS, Azure Data Lake Storage, ADLS. And then from here, you're probably depending on, it could be on Spark Pool for data processing. And so here you're doing data sources, ingesting them through maybe Event Hub or maybe Synapse pipeline and bringing into a Azure Data Lake Lakehouse, which is combination of my data lake and data warehouse, and then bringing into and doing processing out there. And then maybe depending on I'm enriching, I'm using Power BI or using Cosmos DB or search or data share and so on, and bringing this. And at bottom, I'm doing governance, data governance, and then using all my ancillary, all the infrastructure related services as a platform. So this is end-to-end Synapse Analytics as well. I can also do Power BI. Those who are data analysts, probably coming from data sources, I have a Power BI desktop version. Then also a Power BI service, web service, service that you see. And then I can build my reports on that. So Power BI Business Analytics service, hugely popular. and do some hands-on lab. If you want to go and learn on these labs from a data engineer's point of view, so first thing is the list of hands-on labs that we're talking about. K2academy.com. First was Azure 05. That will give you all the hands-on lab 05. I'm not going to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them into email so that you stay attentive and look at the email. So one is this, and how to get hold of these labs. I'm going to put it in an email. So keep an eye on for data analyst, for data engineers, data science, and so on, data architects, these labs. So the certification, you have a DP 900 fundamental, and then you go for DP 203, which is data engineer. PL 300, which is Power BI data analyst, and then data administrator or database administrator, DP 300. So again, learning path, quite simple for DP 900, very data fundamentals and core data concepts, relational data, non-relational data, and then modern data warehouse solution. That's pretty much simple. Again, anything you're spending more than a week on fundamentals, you're doing something wrong. Don't spend, your focus should be on getting a good high-paying job. Give you again simple exam questions, and then do Power BI, PL 300. So this is a path for PL 300 data analyst Power BI. So begin with data analytics and basics of Power BI, but then how do you cleanse, transform, and load the data for Power BI? How to design the data models? How do you create DAX and in Power BI? How do you model performance? How do you reports? How do you do dashboards? How do you identify the pattern and trend in Power BI reports? How do you workspaces, and then files and data sets, and security, row-level security on data analytics. This is, you can learn anything. You're spending more than 6 or 7 weeks and not getting jobs, you're doing something wrong. Again, people make mistake of learn. They never implement. It's implement, learn, implement, and keep applying for the jobs. That's what you should be. Okay. So again, tons and tons of sample questions with explanation. So DA100 was prior version to DP300. Later changed it to DA1. Earlier it was DA100. Now DP300. I've got a clarification. Data analyst cleared. Lucien is saying cleared my exam on first attempt. Cleared my DA. Another one. So that's for data analyst. This is for DP203, which is data engineer. Hugely popular. A lot of guys are getting job on that. So whole right from compute storage options for data engineering. Implement serving layer. There are different layers. Serving layer. Then source files, SQL pools, data warehouse, Apache Spark pools, Databricks. Then you have Synapse pipelines. You have a SQL pool with Azure Synapse. How do you optimize the data for data warehouse? There's also a hybrid transactional analytic processing. Then you go for stream analytics, Synapse analytics, and then Power BI, of course, some part of Power BI is here in data engineering as well, end-to-end, very details. Again, tons and tons of guys. Jivant, clear my DP203. S, happy to cleared by DP203. Ajay, DP203. Sagar, Priyam, very strong on DP. This one here, money and so on. Oh, in fact, not just that. I'm going to now share some of the, because I have tons of guys I've showed you earlier. I didn't want to bore you, but this is again, Sagar got 3 offers to join UK government agency as a data engineer. The other 2 was lead and senior data engineer based in UK. Another one here, Satikant, accepted a job as a senior data scientist, data architect solution. Another one here, this is Satikant. And so, yep. So with that, we are going to transitioning the third part and final part, which is AI, machine learning, and generative AI, which is, this is where lots and lots of demand AI and part. So I'm going to go fast onto this one. So as I said, I covered on very high level AI top layer, below that machine learning, below the deep learning. What do we see live in the era is, this is what with ChatGPT became Gen AI. So it's a subset of deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning, which in turn is a subset of AI. So in generative AI, we are generating the data. So what are we doing? There's already a pre-trained model, which means it's already trained. You don't need to training it. You're just putting there's a lot of data, internet scale data, huge amount of data pre-trained, and there's a model available. Using that model, I give something and it generate content. It could be summarize my content. It do the code generation. It could be question answer. It could be storytelling. It could be a lot of things I can do for my generate. And these are some of the concepts. Because of the time, I'm not going to go here, but I have inside the free, a lot of these concepts are available here on that. So which is on community. You can go and check out here under classroom, the AI free community, AI and machine learning basics. This is where you can go and look at these basic concepts, all those things, concepts they're given here. So learn these concepts like from foundation model, LLMs, vector database, prompt engineering. Within prompt engineering, the zero shot, multi-shot, and I think and chain of thoughts and so on. And these are the few things, multi-model and so on. Okay, so that's on a generative AI. If you look at it from a Microsoft Azure point of view, you have Azure AI. On Azure AI, there's a machine learning, there's a computer vision, there's an NLP, and the conversational AI. That's where you see ChatGPT or question answers, very, very hugely popular these days. And then you have machine learning, which I mentioned. So this is my underlying platform that you see, machine learning. If you want to go from scratch, build your own machine learning model, train them, you're going to pick Azure Machine Learning. On top of that, I'm going to build my customizable AI model that comes out of the box. I can customize them, vision, speech, language, decision, and I can build my own and train using Azure OpenAI service. And this is where you see all my generative AI. I'm using Azure OpenAI service for generative AI. On top of that, there is a scenario-based services. On top of that, application platform and this application. But this is the layer of AI models that you see or machine learning. You'll be working, if you're working as AI in machine learning on Azure, you'll be working on the bottom too. So there's a AI 50, which is it's not certification right now, but if you're developing a generative AI, you start with OpenAI services. You build NLPs, you build prompt engineering, you do generate code with OpenAI services, you do images with OpenAI services, you do RAG, which is the retrieval augmented generation within. It means you can give your custom data and then build and get a data response back based on the custom data. You have a responsible AI and LangChain. It's not part of default what Microsoft recommend. We've added it, which is a LangChain, which I think probably I've covered it in day 0. So if we go back to here onto the classroom, and if you go here on day 0, this is where I've covered LangChain, that you see what that LangChain is. I think most people don't, either here, if you can't find, let me know. I think it's covered one of these here. I might put it into LangChain here. Probably one of these. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know here. So then you do AI 900, which is the AI fundamental certification. Again, anything you're spending more than a week, something wrong in AI 900. So these are only 4 modules, which is fundamental AI overview. There's a computer vision, NLP, and then document intelligence. These are the 5 on this. And then I have tons and tons of guys. Again, AI 900 Javed from US. Here, Neil from again US. Krishna on here, Shailendra as well. And then you go for AI 102. This is where if you want to become Azure AI engineer. So you go for this AI service overview, vision. This is extending on what you did on AI 900 on top of that, but doing extensive hands-on lab, Azure AI services. And then AI search, mining, AI documents, developing generative AI solution, and so on. So there's 6 modules in that. So that's AI. Am I making sense? And now we're going to go third and final part about ML, machine learning, ML ops. Still with me? Is it a lot? It is. It is indeed a lot. Yeah. So as a solution architect, you'll be integrating both. How do you implement? So as a part of Krishna, what about as your solution architect? What will be the working as an AI? So you'll be developing AI-based solutions, but you will be leveraging not just AI solutions, but also because AI alone will not be enough. You have to have tied that with storage, networking, security, authentication, authorization. There's a lot of other things goes. Just alone will not do it. We'll show it to you in a minute here. So this is just one part. And when you're deploying machine learning, typically you'll be having developing a machine learning models. So you identify business goal, you identify the problem, and then once you've identified the problem that you want to solve, you do a data processing, you bring the data, and then you develop the model. And that model, once developed based on with the problem that you want to solve through machine learning. So you have a business goal where you want to leverage machine learning to solve a prediction, feature prediction, or something that you do, whatever. You have a problem, but that problem to solve, you need a data to train the model so that problem can be solved by machine learning. The model will be developed, and then you deploy that model, and then you test and run, test and see what is working. And then you constantly monitor. And then you keep improving that model depending on how either your business requirements change or the data change or a period of time whatever happens. So this whole life cycle, machine learning life cycle. And this is an ML pipeline. Someone's asking about AI. This is the architect will do right from data modeling to bringing the data through data workload, through maybe data factory or a stream analytics, and then put in staging area. It could be data ADLS, data lake. It could be Synapse. It could be SQL databases. And then that will be fed into my machine learning studio. This is where machine learning comes into picture. So it will be leveraging this data on machine learning. And then once I've trained and retrained and I've perfected that machine learning model, I'm to deploy that machine learning model and it'll get an endpoint. And that endpoint will be used by my application. So that endpoint, and then I can do some analytics and all those things, and front end by my web application or whatever. It could be a .NET application, be Java application, it could be whatever that endpoint is leveraging. That's whole ML pipeline works into picture. How it works. There's a DP100, which is a Microsoft Certified Data Scientist certification. I think we have a you do, and again. You do right from machine learning. This is where you go to go on machine learning studio. You do work with data, machine learning. You experiment, run the experiments. You train the models. You optimize the model. You deploy and consume the machine learning models, and so on. Again, tons and tons of guys. Abdul cleared the certification. 70% of questions were from the K2NK website quiz. So we have a quiz on all the sample questions, and we constantly improve that question so you can clear the certification. Quite simple and easy. Abdul again has said this is the Abdul which got big. He's basically cleared the data scientist certification DP100. Lakshmi Preeti, US again, passed DP100 by 900 marks out of 1000. Neil again, he did DP100, so they do multiple. Again, tons of Toto, Farhan, Abdul as well. Aparna, great. I was able to require depth. I was able to back 3 new job offers. Aparna back 3 new job offers as well. As another one here, as is Kamla, offered a cloud data architect role. I think she's based in the UK. Got a cloud architect role as well. And this is all we have mentioned about theory hands-on lab, but do it with the real project work. So project work could be, depending on infrastructure project work, you could be deploying a 3D architecture, doing a CI/CD, you're doing migrations, you're doing multi-container application. Integrate your on-premise Active Directory with Entra ID. Very, very hugely popular this. Or migrate applications, or deploy, or do site-to-site VPN, and do all these project works on infrastructure. Same thing you with data. You can do visualization, data visualization, big data projects. You can do some projects on data engineering as a data engineer as well, using data factory, or a particular use case, maybe telecom, banking, finance, whatever job you're applying, do one project around that. That's how that you see the guys getting job and project work as well. Same with AI and machine learning, maybe do AI machine learning project for healthcare. Also, the biggest problem in AI machine learning is the data. People don't have enough data. So what do? You synthetically generate the data as closer as possible to your use cases. So that itself is synthetic data generation, or maybe personalized content recommendation, or maybe do NLP chatbot, which is a conversational AI application, or maybe from a banking or finance sector loan eligibility predictions. So do them and show them as a proof of concept that this is what you've done, and so on. So like that, I can go on, maybe do a lang chain, which is quite hot and popular as well, and so on. So you do some 1 or 2 points as well, and do those projects. So learn and do, but the most important point is doing it. So with that, I think, as I said, we are spot on time. How many of you guys are thinking like this? I know it's a lot for me to digest when I know all those things. Imagine how many of you guys are thinking like this. Put a chat window. How many of you guys are thinking like that? Say yes if I'm like, it's kind of information. Wow. Put the chat window. How is it feedback? And is it okay if I make you an offer not applicable for everyone? As I said, I'm going to be only for 5 guys. We're going to pick up, and that to application only. Yes, I want to focus one step at a time. Absolutely, Hamid. But what that one number is going to be, what one step is, yes, absolutely. But focus based on the job description. Pick up a job description and put it. Absolutely. So we can close it. We can call it a day here, or if you want, and if you're okay for me, it'll not take more than probably 10 minutes. And then I'll make an option, an offer to you. And it's not for everyone as well. put in the chat window if you're interested. I can talk about, or we can otherwise call it a day here now. Anyone's interested, let me know so I can talk about. It's an application basis, and that too. Okay. Sumti, okay, Sumti, I'm going to pick up these questions. I'll explain you. Brilliant. Yes. Okay, great. Okay, thanks. We are not doing Salesforce demos. We don't do Salesforce. We're already busy. Salesforce in cloud is this is keeping. We're not doing Salesforce. Okay. So if you want Salesforce in cloud, we are not doing. Maybe. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, great. Okay, so let me explain you. As I said, it's application only, and it's be working very closely with me. We have other one single you can go with just a Azure infrastructure or Azure data or Azure AIML or AWS data, AWS one. I'm not talking about that. We do have, and in fact, if you want to go, this is not right. But this is more working one-on-one closely with me. I'm going to handpick 5 of my dream clients so I can show them $50,000, $60,000 working closely with me over the next 1 year. So it's a mentorship. It's an application only job accelerator mentorship and coaching. It's not for everyone. It's 5 seats only. And this is where with the program, it's a mentorship and coaching acceleration. So we go 1 week is spend enough time on you to understand your background, what your strengths are, what your career goals are. And then based on that, we give you a personalized roadmap. We also see how much you're drawing right now, earning right now, how much you want to earn. And we will have 2 or 3 phases, because I don't want to say I'm going to start now and earn a year later. That will be too far for me. Can I help in earning quickly within months, 3 months, 4 months, or maybe 2 months, or maybe shorter, like depending on your background. So sit down and say, based on that, we are going to do, and we'll do it in 2 or 3 phases. So first we'll do and help you immediately to the next job that you're looking for. How? By focusing on that particular criteria. And we help you on that one. Focus, as if someone is saying, one thing at a time, absolutely one thing at a time. Focus and get it that. And once you've achieved that, because that's once you start getting interview calls, so first priority is going to be you getting interview calls. Once you get an interview call, immediate after that, we help you with all the hands-on. And of course, you're learning hands-on and project work parallelly, but you're from first week onwards, or probably on first 10 days onwards, you start applying for the jobs even before you're ready, so that you can fail. You fail fast. You see what kind of jobs are in the market, and we help you in learning on a project based. And then when you start getting interview calls, help you in preparing for those interviews on project based learning, on going deeper into but very intensive learning. And then once you get a job, which is your objective, should be get a job, and then repeat this process till you get your dream job. When I mean by dream job is the desired salary, because jumping from directly to 200 to 250 is, we might do, you can 200 to 250, a lot of guys have done it, and you can do as well. Or you can do it in 2 phases and say, I want to first go 200 to maybe 225 or 230 or 250. Guys have talked about here earlier, SJ, she did jump directly from 85 to 170. She already had gaps. She didn't even realize that. So you can do as well. Or you can keep repeating this after every 3 or 4 months. You learned one, get a job. You learned, go deeper within the organization. Or if that organization is not fulfilling, go to the second organization and so on. So this is a 3-step framework. We keep on doing this and implement this, the whole process. So everything, everything. I've just covered Azure. So AWS, Azure, like the we're going to do again. These are more than enough, but you might go on Google, you might go with Oracle. Then also data, you want to go for Azure, AWS, and or you want to also go for Google data or Snowflake or Databricks. And then you might want to go, hey, find out a combination of Microsoft Azure and AI, or Microsoft or data, but then Azure, Microsoft Azure data and AI, but on AWS, I want to go also with AWS here, a combination, or maybe mix of this. You pick what is right based on the job description. And that's how I've learned it as well. And then parallelly, go for certification. You don't need to do all of them. We help you with all these things. You're going to get it. So everything which I mentioned here, everything I mentioned, everything here, you'll get all of that. With that, you're going to take all the DevOps tools, MLOps tools, AIOps tools, whatever you can think of is hot in the market, you'll get it that as well. With that, all the certifications. So depending on if you're a beginner and if you're new to something, you're already working in infrastructure, you go with cloud for beginners and you learn SaaS, PaaS, IS model. service model, deployment model. Then you go for, in fact, I'm going to show it to you on the portal directly now. Let's go and look at the portal directly. So this is a paid portal. You don't have access to that. So this is our community portal. And this is the classrooms. This is where you're going to go and say. And so you go with cloud and DevOps and Azure AML, MLOps and MLOps for Azure, AWS beginners. These are all beginner friendly, and you can do it probably in a couple of days, just 1 or 2 days, everything one by one, whatever you're important. All these are beginner friendly. And once you know enough about beginner, then you go and come here and start applying for the interviews. This is what I sell and say, start applying for the interviews on very quickly. So you follow interview, and you follow this step and you start applying for the interviews. And parallelly with that interviews, you're also going and doing the LinkedIn profile, updating the LinkedIn profile. We help with the LinkedIn. We give you sample resumes, all those interview preparation that you see, everything that you do from an interview preparation, right from sample resumes. So these are mock interviews. We do multiple mock interviews. You do remote jobs across country, like remote jobs. You do country-wise jobs, topic-wise question answers, resume review. This is where we do the review of your resume and so on. So like that, all those things you get. So, and then, so you understand these basic things first, and also these concepts. And then you also do what is important. Like, for example, if you're going for a developer track, Python and PySpark. If you're doing for data engineering, data scientist, Python and PySpark part as well. And then you go for more advanced machine learning and AI operations. So like machine learning operations, all the tools like whatever is AWS has SageMaker. Microsoft Azure has ML Studio that do ML operations. But then you also have a Kubeflow, which is a Kubernetes based, you have an underlying, it uses Kubernetes to manage your machine learning workload. And you can interface with your all the machine learning libraries and frameworks that you do. So you learn that, or machine ML flow or Kubeflow. And then you go for advanced, any of these things. You can go for Azure infrastructure related roles with AI or data, mix and match. And I highly recommend you to come in with 2 or more than 2. Don't come if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, come and speak to my team and tell them you're a beginner. It will be something different for you beginners. So go more advanced. This is, again, if I go and just show it to you on more advanced. So I'll take an example of AWS job oriented. So we go and look at AWS job. So this is where you'll be following. You begin with, let's suppose you're beginning with AWS. You're beginning with here, all the cloud for beginners. You're going for basics of networking. You go for practitioner, solution architect, DevOps, security, and then do migrations. And then you do 1 or 2 certifications, and then you go for Terraform for AWS, Kubernetes for AWS. And with that, you build your LinkedIn, and you deploy, do all these projects. You don't need to do all of them, just 1 or 2. Similarly, we go and do Azure. And if you go and do Azure infrastructure job oriented, you go for same, but Azure networking for Azure, Azure solution architect, Azure job oriented things. Do 1 of these programs, and then go for more about Terraform for Azure, Kubernetes for Azure, and then go for these projects and so on. Similarly for Azure data. And we go for data on cloud, Azure data on cloud, you do data fundamentals, DP 900 or DP 203. But then you go for more about Azure data for beginners, and then do Python or PySpark, Python or SQL Server and PySpark, and do some projects on this one and so on, like that. So this is all about his certification, and you do, and then with that you do the LinkedIn, and again LinkedIn, all the points that I mentioned, and do LinkedIn profile review, entire profiles, and then the checklist you do and create. And this is what happens. This is what the result which you get. Michael, I did my homework, so we give the checklist, we did the content creation part, all these templates. I did my LinkedIn session and did my homework, and as soon as I did that, I got lots of emails for job prospects. This is the power of doing, you get following, you get everything that in templates and so on. With that, you also do then resume and mock interviews. This is unlimited mock interviews. So you do ATS friendly resume, as I said. Help you with sample resumes, so you can build on top of those. Or you ask and take our help to help you with preparing the resume. We review if you're not getting interview calls, we review your feedback and interviews. Like that, tons of them. You can learn from others, and we do a hot seat. as well, where we go and sit down and we do multiple mock interviews so that you're prepared for the job. And with that, as I said, we don't stop there. We go extra mile, and extra mile is that 1 year on job support, which is once you get a job, that's first step. But you need a hand holding once you get a job. And that's where this guys like Srinivas, he is not only helping but he has managed a team. And wherever he needs to support on team, he come and say, how do I do this? So I'm leading a team of 30 members, $1 million project. I really get confidence by attending these sessions. So you can bring those sessions, things or questions or problems with our support team. So this is a whole framework. We go at triage, we get a job, and we go for career guidance. So this is we run multiple tracks, multiple times. You can do. January slots are fully booked. We only have from February. And but my team you can start working on, but you'll get immediate access to these things. So you can start working on these things. So you have a track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4. You can go for any track, any times, multiple tracks. And this is what I mentioned about earlier. If you come here onto the calendar, this is the sessions we run. You can jump on any sessions depending on what you're doing. It's pretty houseful. You jump on based on what you're looking for. So you do multiple tracks, and then on weekly basis, we have a mock interview, CV prep, job prep, and these that happen regularly. This is when we track we start and then goes. And then next week, we'll have another track. We have every month we start a new track. So you don't have to worry about. Now, as I said, if you're interested, go and fill out this URL, k2academy.com/AI cloud call. As I said, we are only selecting limited. So if you're not for high level, just let us know. But still fill this form so we can say may not be fit for this. We might give you a lower version of that because you may not be ready for that higher version of this. So this is a more comprehensive multi-cloud, multi-AI, everything that I have. I'm only selecting 5. So based on that, you can see enter your name, email address, phone number. This is important, LinkedIn. We can tell you whether you fit in for this or maybe go for a lower tier. What positions you're trying out? Why do you feel or what you've tried that didn't work? And this is more important to know how you think and believe, because technically we can help and you're not a problem, but you need to mentally believe in yourself because we believe in you. If you're taking you're covered. But then I need to know what you're thinking, what your current salary, what you expect salary, and how much you're ready to invest. Also important for you to put in. So fill up all these things, k2academy.com/AI cloud call. I'm taking the questions now, and then we'll go to the remaining part of that. The last part will wrap up on that part. So, Sumti, do you have a questions? You can read out the questions. Hamid, thank you very much. No audio. Is it looking for DevOps, AWS Azure? So, Shukanta, just fill the form and say on this and say I'm only looking for AWS and Azure DevOps. So they will help you on with Azure and AWS DevOps. Brilliant. Let me go. Krishna is saying do AZ104 Azure Administrator, AZ305 architect covers AI? No. So AI is different. So there'll be some part AZ104 will be covering administrator, 305 will be solution architect. For AI, if I want to cover AI, there's an AI 102. There's an AI track is totally different for this. So no. So AI is separately, Krishna. Okay. The question. I'm going to pick up one by one. Victor is.
Me to read other questions?
Yes, please. That will be helpful. Thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is another question from Krishna as well. I have over 17 years of experience as a full stack .NET software engineer with some Azure experience, not working now and looking to skill in Azure solution architect and Azure AI engineer.
Okay, that's a statement. Okay, that was not a question. So yes. No worries.
So
yeah.
You said we will be picking later, and other one is she's from the background developer background and looking to switch in the Azure solution architect and the roadmap she needs to know.
Okay, guys, why don't we do one thing? Sorry for that. I'm going to go up, but if you have any questions, let me know. Put in the chat window so I can pick up these questions. Or you can say if you want to unmute and you want to ask questions, that will be fun today. I would love if you can have the cameras on. If not, don't be shy. Just put in the chat window and okay, wow. Oh, by the way, before we go, is it all making sense? And if you rate me between 1 to 5, 5 you're happy, and let me do, and we'll pick up the questions. Rate me between 1 to 5, and 5 is that will be 5, and you can do 5 plus as well. And anything they give me below 5, it's okay. Just tell me what I could have done to make it 5-star, please. Okay. Hamid is saying, want to join multi-cloud? Yes, multi-cloud, I'll explain you which cloud. So 5, thank you very much, Achla. We have a lot of guys, 5+, Rohan, thank you very much, really appreciate it. Any question, 5++, thank you, Samuel, brilliant. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to this screen, 5+, I'll explain you 5+, what we're going to cover. So yet to come, as I said, is on day 3, we're going to cover all about machine learning and DevOps and MLOps, Git, Jenkins, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, all those things we're going to cover on 27th, if I'm not wrong, all these things, including certification DevOps. Also, there are some job videos which I mentioned. Keep an email. I'm going to next 1 to 3 days, I'm going to contact at k2academy.com. I'm going to share some documents about these links as well, which will be helpful and handy for you. So as I said, you will have full clarity. I think you're making sense, but I'm going to answer some of the questions as well. Also, make sure that you can win some prizes. We're going to pick one person today. Someone already won. So go to claim your free gift and you can claim more additional things apart from which I mentioned here. So you can, based on the points, when you share with friends and colleagues, you get points, and based on the points, you can claim these gifts as well. Okay, so with that, I'm going to now pick up the questions and let me know. Fill this form and let me know. My team will reach out to you with these. Thank you, Mohammed, Jayad, Rifas, Marius, Nan, 5+. Oh, wow, thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to say, if anyone put your hand up, I'm going to unmute you and then we can ask questions directly if you want to. Let me see, how do I look at the chat? I say big group, hold on. Where to see the participants? If is there a way to see the hands up? I can see one hand up. Who that person is? How do I go on top? I think it might have been on top. Hold on. As I don't Alfred, yeah. So I think you're unmuted. You can ask a question, Alfred, now.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Atul. It's a nice lecture we received today. And my question is, first, I log on to that k21academy.com/a cloud call and it's telling me invalid. I don't know why.
Which one? What URL you're typing?
k21academy.com/AI cloud call.
Oh, is it?
It's telling me invalid.
Ouch. Sorry for that. Thank you for highlighting. AI. What is the URL?
Cloud call.
Cloud call. Okay. That's a shame. And where are you based? No, it's working. So where are you based? Are you based
Canada.
in Africa? Oh, Canada, it should work. So I've just messaged there. If you go there, it should work now. Just click on the link. Okay. AI cloud. Okay. AI, A for artificial, I for intelligence, cloud call. Working for me. As Sukanta is saying it's working. So message, just click on that.
It's open now. It's open now. Thanks.
Oh, no, great.
So
great.
My question now is, I want to know more about the multi-cloud DevOps. So what is the duration and the cost of the program?
Okay, that you fill in. I think depending on multi-cloud, this is a separate one. My team will, I don't do the cost, but the timing is you dictate and say how you want, what is the objective. So I'll give you entire 1 year, which is more than enough, but every person is different. So timing point of view, you say that I have this much time, you work with my team on any other programs which are job-oriented program. So what's your background, Alfred? This is how it's going to happen like that. Okay, this is how in real world will, in our case. So once you register, you say, you sit down with my team and say, this is my background and this much time I have. So tell me, what's your background?
My background is, I have an IT background and I've been working for more than 13 years.
Okay, great.
I've done previous training on data engineering and a bit of DevOps, but I feel like doing it more in depth to see where it can lead me to. And my goal is getting a good job.
So I'm not going to ask you what is your current salary right now, whatever is XYZ amount, and then how much you want to achieve. We'll ask two things. One thing which I'm going to ask you is in saying what salary you're aiming to achieve. So let's suppose you say, I want to aim 200,000, whatever it is. And then how quickly you want, or what is the time frame? So you say that I want to achieve, let's suppose we start with January 1st. I want to achieve by March 1st or March. We have to give you the customer.
March is pretty okay.
Yeah, no, but you can decide, and you can say, I want to do it in 30 days, 40 days, 50 days. Based on that, we'll say that, or you do this and you do this. This is the follow structure you follow. Okay. Now, on that journey, every week there'll be sessions, live interactive sessions, but you don't need to wait for them. Live interactive session. There'll be already plenty of content. So just to show you, let's suppose you want to go on DevOps. Okay. So this is an example I'm showing to you. So let me close this one. community. And then you're going to come on, I'm assuming you already have the little bit of background, but if not, you come and understand from a DevOps point of view, you come, what is DevOps for beginners? With that, I would highly recommend you to do DevOps on cloud. So you'll be doing and understanding the Azure for beginners and AWS for beginners. This is hugely popular. Then I'll also go for containers and Kubernetes for beginners, because in DevOps, a lot of companies are using containers and Kubernetes, and then for Terraform for beginners. Once you have done all those 4 or 5 things, then I'm going to go on to and say, take an example of DevOps jobs in Canada. Now, it's not going to do it for me right now because I might have to do the VPN, but let's suppose you're in Canada, you're based, right? So yeah. I'm going to go on to this senior DevOps engineer, DevOps specialist, either one of them. Okay, so let's suppose this one 6 days ago. So now I'm going to go and say what these guys are looking. And so they are looking for example, they're looking Kubernetes. So I'll say, do a couple of extensive hands-on lab on Kubernetes, do 1 or 2 labs on Terraform, do 1 or 2 labs on CI/CD, do an Ansible, do an AWS, and do all these things, Kubernetes, Terraform, CI/CD, Ansible on AWS with hands-on, and then do a CI/CD pipeline. And based on that, we are going to create a resume for that, and you go and apply within first week. Okay, and now you come and to say on the portal, I say AWS 1 second. So you have access to, and I'm going to do a project on AWS CI/CD. So this is a project on continuous delivery, CI/CD pipeline, deploying on AWS, Elastic Beanstalk 1. But I'm more interested in Kubernetes 1. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up a Kubernetes-based application deployment end-to-end on, for this, for example, this is microservices. I'm breaking down mostly to microservices. Or I go and say, let's see, this one. Once you have done, so this one. So if you see now, I'm deploying a Super Mario application on a Kubernetes using AWS, on AWS using Terraform. So I've covered now with one project, I've killed my Kubernetes, I've killed my AWS, I've killed my Terraform, and I know now how to do end-to-end. I do this one, and within probably 1 or 2 days, you'll be able to do, and then I go and apply for this job. Okay, I may or may not be successful in that, but you will learn a lot and ton on this interview. We'll give you all this interview questions as well. So you come and say inside the program, you say, I'm going to now come and say, which one is interview prep? Interview prep, you will get a list of questions you're going to submit. And based on the job description, we'll tell you, oh, these are kind of interview questions you can expect. So there's a section. And to be frank, I don't manage, I have a team who manages, but there'll be a question answer section, which will be having and saying, based on the job description, they will give you the list of questions you can expect. They will also help you to prepare for the interviews. And there's a high probability you may not be successful on that interview, but you'll learn within first interview itself, you'll learn a ton. We do repeat this exercise till the time you get a job on whatever you desire. That helps you in getting a job. But then you come back and learn all this systematically, start from whatever you're doing the job end to end. That's how we perform. Make sense, Marius?
Yeah, but it's a security part, network security and the cloud security. Is it different or separated from the DevOps or part of it?
There'll be some part of DevOps security, but we are not going to, some part of the security will be there in DevOps. There is a DevSecOps which is covered. But if you want to become a security expert, that's a separate part. So you will
separate part.
Correct, because okay, now depending on if you come to this, what I've mentioned, it's everything here, but you may not be ready for this. So this is what I mentioned, which is the one which I'm telling you right now on this. That includes everything. That includes everything, but you may not be ready for that. You just want a DevOps. So DevOps there'll be DevSecOps will be there. There will be security on DevOps pipeline. But if you want to become a security expert, which is it 500 or AWS security, that's a separate thing. Make sense, Alfred?
So what will it cost me to be with this one that you just showed?
So you come. AI. So you come and speak to the team, fill that form, and they will tell you understanding. Okay, that's why.
Okay,
brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to put your hand down. Nanda, over to you, please. Ask to unmute. I've unmuted you.
Hi, Nanda. So able to hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Yeah. So I was following up you many days, and then today I got a chance to the complete session to be joined with. So mainly I'm based out UK now. So I'm looking for the sponsorship jobs, basically. Okay. So I'm currently into Cloud and DevOps, AWS only. But I'm seriously looking for getting some opportunity. Then I thought it's the right place and right time to talk with you, and then get opportunity to join with this community and then learn things.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't help with the sponsorship.
Yeah, it's a straightforward question, nothing much. So I trust you that you are all frameworks and workflow. So just I need some help and support maybe.
As I said, unfortunately, I'm not the right person for sponsorship. I don't want to waste your time, and I may not be the right person for sponsorship.
No. I'm not looking for a sponsorship here. Okay, I want to grab the sponsorship job opportunities with a skill, learning with a skill and how to approach, how to apply job actually. I clearly understand I'm not looking for the sponsorship actually. So I'm want to find some opportunities. The companies, many companies do sponsors in UK. So I thought of grab such opportunity.
Okay. Speak to my team and they will help you on. Okay. So
yeah, sure.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay. But did you learn something new? Okay. From a job point of view, just search for, because if you go to JobServe, I'll tell you. So when you go to the JobServe, and then they might be saying, is there any company which is sponsoring? So they will tell you if they're sponsoring or not. Okay. Or you have to do a little bit hard manner. If you are in a skill set, okay, what I would do is I will go for skill set which are difficult to grasp. So I'll pick up AI, for example, or generative AI. Go to these AI jobs and then say, pick up any of those and become good in, for example, this. Finding out someone with that will be very, very challenging. Okay. And what's the situation right now? Are you in a studies visa? Or how are you doing? What's your current situation?
I'm on the work visa.
You can work visa.
Yeah, it's a skilled workers.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's going to be, I don't know how to solve this, but you to reach out to all of them and say, hey, you're going to, are you? So reach out to Adlam, for example. This guy, no, this is not a person. This is, you pick up, you have to do in a hard manner. So unfortunately, I don't know from a visa point of view. There are companies we do partner, but I don't know to take that because I simply pass it on to the guys. Okay. Speak to my team, Nand. Okay. They will say what they can do. Okay, brilliant. Guys, thank you very much. If there's anyone have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up on this. Fill out this form, k2academy.com/AI cloud call. Even if you're not ready for high level, they will tell you and point you to the lower tier, which is our job-oriented program as well. Otherwise, we'll see you in next. Sumti, any questions that you want me to cover or there? Let me see. Marius, I'm taking the question. Same question here, Hamid. If I have the okay, I'm not sure what is the question. I'm a self-trained software developer. I have not a good level in English. Can I access in cloud? Where can I? Absolutely, Marius. So go to the cloud and look for, if you're a developer, where are you based, Marius? If you put your hand up, or let me know if we can unmute you, or I'm going to stay for here. What time is okay? Time is already up. We've just 1 more minute. So maybe I don't know. You have not responded. Opportunity gone. Marius, no. Okay, we'll call it a day, but I don't know where you're from. But yeah, guys, thank you very much with that. I think we will say I didn't realize that we are over the time. So as I said, we are going to be on day 3, which is we will wrap it up with machine learning DevOps and DevOps tools, k2academy.com/bootcamp. And we'll pick up a winner. Keep an eye on your email. You'll get a replay, which will be available at this place, which is k2academy.com/community, AI community. Inside that classroom, and we'll be uploading it here. We'll get an email once it's uploaded. So keep an eye on that. Thank you very, very much. And you are a support. Thank you for everyone who rated 5-star. Brilliant. Can't wait to help you. Take care. Bye-bye. Stop share. Thank you, everyone. Something if you can stop and cancel, close this, please.
The recording has stopped.
Thank you.